All right, let's get it. Drive time, Tuesday afternoon, 13 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. Continues to be a very warm stretch. It is hot outside. Breaking news. In July in Utah, it's hot. But happy Tuesday, and as it is every day, it's good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic. Porter Larson producing the show behind the glass today. Good guest list. A lot of good stuff to get to on the program. Viva la Spain. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I did make it to Spanish 2 in high school. Spain leads France 1-0, 52nd minute, as the World Cup semifinals are underway. A battle for a spot in the World Cup final in, well, it's New Jersey. We're supposed to say New York. But we've got Spain and France going on right now. Argentina and England will do battle tomorrow, so we will keep you up to date on this game today. I'll say spoiler alert in case you're DVRing it and need to watch it at home if you're driving around town and getting some work in on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. But, of course, such an unbelievable tournament. And RSL will be back in action, well, with a friendly coming up tomorrow night against Burnley. Might have a chance to interview J.J. Watt, who's on the I think he's the director of their new sporting board as Burnley is trying to get back into the Premiership, making a coaching hire. But the English side, Burnley FC, in town tomorrow to take on RSL. And then Real Salt Lake back in action on the 22nd, taking on LAFC. So we'll get to some of that Summer League action. The Jazz sat most of their best players, as they should. No problem with that. We've seen what we need to see from Darren Peterson. And no Ace Bailey last night. The Washington Wizards have shut down A.J. DiBonsa after a couple of games where A.J. looked really good. But Summer League rolling along. Trey Alexander, scary moment last night. Trey Alexander was on a stretcher taken off the floor, and it looked like it was a bad rib injury. It was a scary situation, man. You don't see that very often. He signed a two-way deal with the Jazz last week. He made contact with Caleb Wilson, the Chicago Bulls rookie, and dropped to the ground. And it was really scary if you were watching that at the Thomas and Mack Center in Vegas. Looks like he's going to be okay, though. So we will talk some Jazz basketball on the show. We'll talk some NBA Summer League. Tyler Hero has spoken out after being punched in the face by his former teammate. NBA drama, man, you can't beat it. Looking to move on. A lot of reports on how that went down, and then a lot of old NBA players fighting with new NBA players. Apparently Draymond Green and Udonis Haslem are going at it. We did hear from Walker Kessler as an introductory press conference for the LA Lakers after the Jazz elected to move on from Walker Kessler. We saw the home run derby last night in Major League Baseball. This is kind of the slow time of year in sports. We're high speed ahead to both college and pro football. Big 12 Media Days behind us, kind of the unofficial start to the college football season. We have some up-to-date Vegas over-under for win totals in the Big 12. We'll tell you what they are and talk some Utah football on the show today. Some Big 12 football, kind of update you on some odds. So there you go. First guest today, former Real Salt Lake goalkeeper, and you can hear him on RSL broadcast. He was my co-host on Talkin' Real a couple weeks ago. My buddy Jay Nolly. Really good dude. Excited to catch up with Jay today. So he'll join us right out of the gates. Coming up at 3 o'clock, Steve Starks, the CEO of the LHM company. Once upon a time was mostly on the sports side. Now he's running the entire deal. We'll get an update from Steve on the summer window for Real Salt Lake. Will we see Xavier Gozo, Diego Luna, Sergey Solins, and maybe even Juanman Sanabria moved on? Juanman had a great World Cup experience with Uruguay, and obviously Solins has had a great rookie season, but a lot of attention on Xavier Gozo, a lot of attention on Diego Luna. What's the plan now for Real Salt Lake as they approach the second half of the season? And an update on Major League Baseball to Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, Major League Baseball right now, for those of you that don't pay close attention to the sport because we don't have a team here, they are high speed ahead to a CBA negotiation go-around that could end with a work stoppage. It's already getting ugly. And by all accounts, New York Times had a piece on this. Major League Baseball has to get that round of CBA negotiations done before they're going to look to expand. Now, when they do look to expand, everybody believes they're going to look to expand here first. Salt Lake, Nashville, Portland, some other markets being thrown out there. But I can promise you the Millers are ready for this. Shovel in the ground ready, 100 acres out in the west side of the city. They have a public partnership agreement in place with the government that will not place additional tax burden on the city. And I worked for the Millers for 8 years. They are excellent stewards and owners. It's good company, and Steve is their leader. He's going to join us coming up at 3 o'clock today. Soccer expert and savant Gordon Monson live in studio. We'll do some college football, Gordo, maybe a little jazz. And then Instagram influencer Dave Fox will join us to talk about how he edits his videos and chooses his music for his flat brim hat pool situations. So Jay Nolly, Steve Starks, Gordon Monson, Instagram influencer Dave Fox, me, Spence Checketts, and Spanish football fan Porter Larson.
Indeed.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
What's good?
Busy day, but we're here. We're ready to roll. And watching a little World Cup soccer. Try not to be too distracted while this game is going on.
Yeah, I got the semis on live as we're here in the afternoon. So it's good timing, although not always easy to do a radio show when you're trying to keep up with the game. The match, I'm sorry.
The match, indeed. The pitch, the kits, the boots, all the things. Spain leads 1-0. France is still the favorite to win this game and also win the World Cup. Have you elected to utilize any of your prediction market apps to, maybe make this tournament more exciting?
Not on the World Cup. Not on the World Cup. I don't know enough about soccer, football, the beautiful game, to go down that path.
Okay.
As you recall, 2 weeks ago, I was chanting USA and thought we were going to win.
Oh, indeed. Well, Spain scores again. The favorites to win the World Cup are now down 2-0 in the 59th minute as Spain takes a 2-0 lead over Kylian Mbappe and the French side. All right, Jay Nolly, our first guest right out of the gates. I bet Jay's going to be distracted because he's going to be watching World Cup. But before we get to Jay, courtesy of our friends at Game Day Men's Health, it is time now for your opening tip. I do want to let you know that Zach Bryan is taking over Rice-Eccles Stadium on August the 7th. ESPN 700 wants to send you and your concert buddy to the show. So tune in to this show around 4 o'clock today. That means Gordon Monson gets to make up a trivia question. Last time he asked you what's the northernmost city in the world. It was weird. But tune in at 4 o'clock today for a chance to win a pair of tickets. More details can be found at ESPN700sports.com. All right, Spain takes the lead. 2-0 now. Not just takes the lead, they extend their lead in the 59th minute of the match. As the World Cup semifinals rolling along today, it will be Argentina and England tomorrow, and then we will have the World Cup final after that for the right to lift this trophy. So Steve Starks is going to join us coming up in a little bit. Major League Baseball to Salt Lake City will be one of our topics, and just kind of the growth of our sports ecosystem here in Salt Lake, which has been pretty unbelievable to see. And there is a chance that Salt Lake City could have every major sports team outside of an NFL team in as little as 2 or 3 years. Now, I referenced this a little bit earlier. This Major League Baseball not work stoppage, but CBA go around the negotiations between the owners and the players. There's a lot of consternation about the potential for a work stoppage, and quite frankly, it might be necessary for where Major League Baseball finds itself. Now, in kind of a sneaky way, Major League Baseball has been able to make some changes to their game, which I never thought they'd make, because I don't know there's more of an archaic sport and people that love that sport than baseball purists. Soccer has a case for it, and we see it every time the World Cup rolls around, where media members with large voices drop in once every 4 years and give us their hot soccer takes, which are always so dumb and always so misguided. And it does lead to soccer fans and soccer purists essentially deciding to lend their voices to the conversation. And I've always been convinced that one of the things that stops soccer from growing in our country, even though we have a World Cup being played on our soil right now, is the gatekeeping that takes place from soccer fans that are unbearable. So do I agree with loud media voices who stop by once every 4 years to talk about offsides and talk about their ideas for rule changes and try to fix the youth soccer system? No, most of them sound like buffoons and idiots because they're not paying attention. It's like when Deion Sanders first took the job at Colorado and they came out of the gates and had some nice wins. They beat like Nebraska and Colorado State. And suddenly, like, Stephen A. Smith was like, yeah, there's no reason they can't win the national championship. And it's like, dude, they might win 5 games this year. Like, you're not even paying attention. It's the same thing here with these loud media members and these voices that never even watch the sport or cover the sport, but decide they know how to fix it. So there's this dynamic of this weird back and forth that takes place once every 4 years because it has become a little wash, rinse, repeat when it comes to the way the World Cup is manifested in our country. We do qualify most of the time. We did not qualify for the 2018 go-around. And usually there's this hype around a younger generation of great players that are supposed to lift us to great heights. We usually get out of group. We won the group this year. And then we run into a soccer country that has been playing a lot longer than we have. And even though we were a soccer country-ish back in the 30s, as Pablo outlined yesterday, we took a massive break from the sport. It wasn't even part of what we did for a long time. And then it came back, and then it went away. And then in 94, the World Cup is played here. And it directly leads to the creation and implementation of MLS, which is a league that's now 30 years old. That's not very old because soccer continues to try to find this footprint. So on one hand, you get the loud media members who know nothing about the game and nothing about the sport who decide they know how to fix it. And then on the other hand, you get the gatekeeping soccer community that could not be more unbearable. And it is a little bit of an archaic approach, but there's a reason why people love the sport so much and don't want it changed. And Major League Baseball has a little bit of that. The sport of baseball has a little bit of that. But I think Rob Manfred has been pretty forward-thinking about some changes to the game that it's made it flow a little bit better, trying to capture the attention of the younger generation that constantly is having trouble sitting down to even watch a movie or an entire show because our attention spans are so much smaller than they used to be because we're all stuck to these little computers in our hands, essentially cell phones that take the attention of most people. So as we approach this potential work stoppage, there's a back and forth between the Major League Baseball Players Association and Rob Manfred himself on this level-the-field advertising campaign expressing the league's desire for a salary cap within the next collective bargaining agreement. And let's be clear, they badly needed some sort of salary structure that's different than what they have right now. I don't think it's ever going to change. The owners that have enough money to just kind of laugh at a potential punitive tax the way that the NBA has, and I do think the NBA is going to have their own issues with this during the next round of collective bargaining agreements because they probably have gone a little bit too far. But now we have Major League Baseball going public with an advertising campaign to basically get the message out there like we need a salary cap in place. We need it badly. The Dodgers are everybody's example of the ability now, like there once was with George Steinbrenner and the Yankees in the 90s, to essentially buy a championship. There has to be a little bit of a more level playing field and some rules in place that aren't in place right now for this sport to move forward. And what that means for Major League Baseball to Salt Lake City, I find pretty interesting because they're going to have to get through this before they take on their next endeavor, which I do think will be expansion. And when they do that, I do think Utah and Salt Lake, I think we're in a good spot because the Millers are ready and prepared. And we have the deal in place, the framework of a deal in place with our local legislators to not, burden the taxpayers to make sure this stadium is built the way it needs to be built. It will be 50% privately funded, from what I understand, which is a lot more than most projects, including our current basketball arena project, where Ryan Smith and Smith Entertainment Group got a cool $1 billion from the local government. But as we reach the summer calendar, almost every single year, over the past 4 years, I think now that when the Millers made their intent pretty clear that this is what they wanted, it brings up this real excitement level here in the market because it would be unbelievable to think of Aaron Judge drinking a swig or something like that. But Major League Baseball has a lot to do before expansion, I think, is going to be kind of their next box to be checked. And this back and forth between the commissioner and the Players Association is a little bit of a peek in what could be a really, really strenuous negotiation that I do think may lead to a work stoppage. And there's some people that do believe Major League Baseball has never fully recovered from the work stoppage that they suffered back in 1994. But stay tuned. Steve Starks is going to join us today for the update on all of that. Coming up on the other side, France just nearly scored a third goal. Lamine Yamal actually scored the goal, but he was deemed offsides. They still are in control. We're talking a 2-0 lead in the 67th minute. RSL with a friendly tomorrow. And MLS will be back before you know it. Jay Nolly will be our guest as Kylian Mbappe almost scored there. So stay tuned. Jay is going to hop on next on ESPN 700. Porter, before we start this interview, I need a quick hydration break.
Oh, yeah? 3 minutes? 5 minutes?
No, just wanted to get a little hydration break in because they've gone to the hydration break. Are you anti-hydration break?
I am not necessarily anti-hydration break. I am anti, and I know we live on sports radio, so this is a completely hypocritical statement. I am anti the over-corporatization of everything sports where everything is decided based on how many ads you can put in, how many advertisements you can throw on, jersey patches, commercials, 8-minute long half. Yeah.
So,
yes.
So you're a socialist?
No.
So you voted for Bernie Sanders?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
I think we've just jumped the shark a little bit in that regard.
Well, this is the Drive with Spence Checketts, brought to you by Monster Energy. And so let's bring in our first guest, former keeper for RSL. I know he's watching the match, so it's nice of him to join Jay Nolly on a Tuesday. What's up, Jay? How are you, man?
What's up, Spence? He forgot to say the hydration break was brought to you by, I won't say it, but yes, it's a bit. I'm more on Porter's plane here. I'm only if hydration breaks are necessary, not the way they've done it.
Okay, so Jay's also a socialist. We've learned that on the program. I'm just teasing.
Purity of the game.
The pure. So what is your take on this and kind of how it's kind of captured the debate surrounding the tournament? I mean, they do try to spin it, but it is clear that it's for another commercial break where they can get more sponsors. I don't see what the other explanation is.
No, I mean, that's really what it is. And, I think, when you look at like college football or some of those ones, the NFL, the later you get into, the postseason it just seems the games get longer. You're watching less, more commercials. And it feels like they had the opportunity to do that at the World Cup and they took it. I think hydration breaks are necessary in some of the hot places where it's super humid. You take a quick one for sure, but not to blanket every one of them. It's just to capitalize on marketing.
So Spain leads France 2-0, and let's be very clear, Spain is very good. Breaking news, I think they're actually the number one team in FIFA rankings, but most people believed France would go on to win the World Cup. It's not over, Jay, but what do you make of where we find ourselves with this match right now?
Well, personally, I'm feeling very good. Pre-World Cup, I had Spain beating France in the semifinal and then Spain beating Argentina in the final. Where Argentina was supposed to face Brazil, but I still have them beating England. So I just felt Spain was a more complete team, front to back. I felt defensively sound. I really felt they were coming into this tournament strong, and they showed it. One goal up and through until I think they've only allowed one goal. It's just been incredible how they played, and then getting the attack. Porro on the second goal is fantastic, just finding that little slot and moving through. So I thought they were going to give France a lot of problems. I did think France has so many dynamic players that it could change at any moment, but I think they've just limited their ability. Mbappe's had a couple opportunities, tried to go over the top a few times, but Spain's just been locking it down.
You referenced the one goal they allowed, and I think it was last match they allowed that one goal, and I believe prior to the goal they had allowed like 5 shots on target. I mean, it's pretty wild because I think most people probably don't really fully understand that this is, as you said, a complete team that can't, not just scoring goals, but they're also very stout defensively. But I did want to ask you about Mbappe because I feel like you don't have to know hockey to know that Connor McDavid is awesome, or golf to know that when Tiger was Tiger, he was that guy, or basketball with LeBron. And I feel like there's something about Mbappe specifically that just sets him apart even from the other great players in the world. What are your thoughts on his talent?
Absolutely. And, it's not just the speed, the pace that he has, but the one-on-one ability, find the little hole. But also we saw that goal last game too, where he just pulls the trigger. He knows there's a defender kind of blocking him. Goalkeeper's going to get a late jump, and he bends it around into the corner. And some of the best strikers in the world and in history, they know when to pull the trigger. And I think a lot of times, when we look in MLS, that trigger never gets pulled. So we don't see some of these phenomenal goals because in Europe, it's just a little bit different with these top-end players. And, Mbappe's still young, and he's chasing Messi's tail by one goal. It is is also just another credible feat. He's got minimum one more World Cup, probably two, and who knows, but he's probably going to go down as the greatest goal scorer in World Cup history. And he's still in his prime, which is going to be fantastic to see. I know we'll see what happens with Real Madrid if he ends up moving on from them eventually, but he's just a phenomenal player.
So before we get over to the U.S. men's national team side, just give me a kind of a big picture commentary on this tournament as a soccer guy. I'm not new to it anymore, but I didn't watch a World Cup until 2006. So I've really watched the last 5 or whatever that is. Even the tournament where we weren't a part of it, which just was such a bummer in 2018. And I got to say, man, I always forget just how awesome it is until it comes back. And then the days where, like, there are no games, I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to do today? There are no World Cup matches. I just think it's such a cool tournament. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, when you have, when you look at the schedule in the morning and there's like 4 games at perfect timing, nothing's overlapping, and it's for days, weeks, in the first the group stage. When we had to wait till Tuesday for this game, it was like, man, the World Cup's almost over. And I think, that piece of it where you're also looking at what's happening around the U.S., Mexico, and Canada with everybody that's come in and how much they've enjoyed this experience. And I know there's a lot of concern prior, and it's just lived up to the hype, not only for how America's done, but the games have been very, very good. We've had that Cinderella story. We got the big dogs in the floor. We got goal chases, golden boots, Holland coming through. I mean, just so many storylines that were so positive, and it's just really, it's been exciting to watch. I go back to when I was a little kid watching Roberto Baggio over the bar in the shootout. And it's such an ingrained memory in my heart because I grew up an Italian fan, which is not a good thing right now. But, you just remember these moments, and hopefully there's young kids that see this and remember it and carry on with it. And, hopefully if there's some non-soccer fans, which I've talked to a lot of, not watched soccer until now, and they're getting on board. And so there's going to be a lot on MLS to live up to the hype through the end of the season.
So the U.S. men's national team entered the tournament with a lot of hype, and a lot of the hype was probably around the Fox machine because they were the broadcast partner, and there was a really cool HBO documentary. And I mean, look, for the first time really in the history of U.S. soccer, we have a lot of our best players playing at some of the biggest clubs overseas, and I think there was a lot of hope attached to the hype. I chuckle a little bit, Jay, because as you know, like, Belgium's awesome. They're really good. And, ultimately they didn't even have to really start their 3 best players. They didn't play their best midfielder in De Bruyne, and they still took care of us pretty handily. So before we get to some specifics, let me just get your overall take on the performance start to finish from Mauricio Pochettino's side.
I think, leading into the World Cup, I think there were concern, at least, of how qualifying went, how the lead up was, selection, kind of everything. And they did a good job, that first game against Paraguay. Paraguay's not an easy team. I mean, they got through as well. And it looked dominant. And so it gave us this false sense of we've got a chance to really make a deep run. And I think it was, kind of got the business done in the group stage. And then when you actually had to go and play someone, we weren't on their caliber. It was poor all around in regards to touches, runs, movement, defense, front to back. Pulisic again, feel terrible for him, but just didn't show up on the big stage. And so it was one of those where we got kind of a false sense of who this team was through those first couple games. And then when the business end really had to show up, they just weren't on that level, and the team didn't show up.
So the Flo Balogun red card, I don't know, maybe you caught wind of it. He got a red card and then it was rescinded. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, I think it's okay to say that felt like the right decision, but it also felt kind of, like the way it all went down. Flo, for the first time, gave some comments today and admitted that it really distracted the team, and he could feel it with his teammates. And look, we can relitigate all we want. It doesn't matter. It is what it is, and it's over now. But what did you make of how that all went down? And what sort of effect do you think that had on both the U.S. and Belgium?
And I think it's in line with some of the VAR decisions as well, too, that have just been poor. They made a decision, and this is an MLS or league play where you can go and appeal it for the next week or something like that. It's one of the biggest stages. They made a decision. I do think it affected the outcome. A day before to just get approved to play off kind of questionable kind of overturning. I think it was a distraction. Then you have Belgium doing everything they did around the whole world. It just was unfortunate. In the end, they probably should have just stuck with the call. Ref made the right call in the field, no call. VAR interjected, and they had to go make that decision for a serious foul or a serious contact. And I don't think they should have waited that long to overturn it. They should have just left it. And unfortunate for the U.S., Pepe probably should have started.
So you referenced
could have been fortunate.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, part of me, and it's easy to say this now because we react off the result. Part of me just wished that no phone call was made. Stay out of it. Just for once, don't meddle in something, please, and then just let the process be what it was, and then see where the cards fall from there. But it is what it is. You referenced the Pulisic stuff. It does turn out that he had a pretty serious injury. It was a fracture. He's going to be out for weeks, and injuries, they just suck, and it's too bad. Part of me feels really bad for this kid. Yeah, you know what it's like, man. I mean, you had to fight through injuries. So the broader conversation turns into, he taps out of the Gold Cup because he wanted to rest. And, he apparently wanted to go to a prom in high school, so he asked to get out of the World Cup camp for a week. Or all those things that are going around. So I just want to ask you, what's fair to say, as opposed to piling on or giving him a pass? What's fair to say about a player who many believe might be as good, if not better, than any player that's ever come from our country?
I still think we have to give credit to who Pulisic is and what he's done in Europe, what he's done for the U.S., what he's done for soccer overall in the U.S. as well, too. I think when we talked from the Gold Cup kind of on, it's been a struggle. And I think now it's, I don't want to say window closing. It's starting to get tighter. You got 4 years until your next World Cup to show up on the big stage. And then after that, who knows what's going to happen in his career. So I think the big thing for him is he's had these opportunities to really stamp himself as the best American player to ever play in a World Cup and for the U.S. men's national team. And I think he's just left the door open. Injuries are unfortunate. I think the one thing that you should know about me as well, too, I hold 2 Ironman streaks for college and professional with Vancouver and Indiana. So I'm one of those guys that wants to be dragged off the field as well. But you get a fracture, you get a fracture. It's just unfortunate. And it's kind of gone with his run of play. AC Milan's been poor. He hasn't scored, I think, since December as well, too, for the national team. And, now he's got 4 years to kind of sit on it, see what happens in the transfer window if he stays. And then, we got Gold Cup and all the other tournaments leading up to the next World Cup. But, if he really wants to make an impact, it's getting to that 8 or getting to the 4 in a World Cup where he's the star and pulls the team on his back.
Before we get over to some RSL stuff, I feel like it's a little bit of wash, rinse, repeat, where, there's a lot of hype leading up to a World Cup. There's a lot of hope on what we can do. And usually we get out of group. This year we won the group. And then we lose in the first knockout stage. And this year we won a knockout game. But, of course, it was an expanded tournament. And typically we lose to a pretty good team like a Belgium. And then it leads to the dissecting of, okay, what's next? How do we get better? Whether it's the way we develop talent, whether we need new leadership, new coaching, your thoughts on what we can do over the next 4 years to make sure we give ourselves a better chance to do something different than what we've done since 2002.
Yeah, I think, the coach is going to be the first interesting one, what Pochettino ends up doing, leading up to it. It was his goal to get us as far as can, and then we'll see what his next phase is. I think what I'm encouraged from the youth side of it is when you watch, 13, 14, 15, 16s, these academies, there's a little more flair. There's a little more technical pieces. There's some athletic players. So I do like seeing that part of the youth growing in. And now it's getting that consistency. Jason talks about it a lot too. When you go to Europe or when you see some of these other teams, the U15s through the full team, they follow the same process. They work through the same system. They build so that it's just input, new player, and you kind of move on. And so I just don't think we're at a full scale like that in how we are as a national team. And I think that's going to be a next progression as well too. It's just that consistency all around. But I do have a lot of hope with, when you look at Gozo, he's going to be kind of that next group that's coming in, and we're seeing some very talented athletic players, who are going to go to Europe earlier as well. And I think that's going to be the big piece. I think, defensively and goalkeeper, we got to get stronger there as well too. Nothing against Tim Ream, but Tim Ream's, approaching 40, and he's the captain of our national team. I would hope in this position next World Cup that we have some firepower across the back as well too. Which overall, in the first few games they did very well, but it was a huge hindrance in the last one.
Since one quick question here, because you had referenced stronger in goal. As a guy who played that position, like the Matt Freese / Tim Ream mistake against Belgium, I thought just kind of encapsulated the entire thing. I don't want to pile on him because a goalkeeper's mistake is more punitive because it actually literally leads to goals. But as somebody who played that position, what was he trying to do? What should he have done? And take us kind of through that scenario.
Yeah, I think, first on it, I remember talking before the Turkey game. I don't think Freese should have been benched for that game, even though we were going through no matter what. This was his first World Cup. And I think he needed those minutes to continue to build his confidence. He just never looked settled in that Belgium game. And I think it showed in that second half. Good play. You've got to stay connected to your back four. Ball skips over the top. Gets up a little high on him. So calm move, you chest it down, get past the player, get it off your foot. You got to know that player's turning around. I think what he looked for is a pass to the outside, and then it looked like it was going to get cut off. As soon as you pull your leg back, you're just in trouble and you're scrambling, and your brain's not there anymore. And we're really, all you should do is just toe poke it somewhere. You're just not in that mindset. You just want to get it to a free space, and just made a meal of it. And then Tim Ream just couldn't get his body right on the track back. But I just feel for him because he's had an incredible last couple of years in the MLS, been one of the top goalies, positioned himself to be number one. I thought he was the clear number one. And then in the last game, just never got settled.
All right, moving over to RSL, let's start with some potential decisions they have to make with the summer transfer window. Diego Luna, it's out there that they did receive an offer, but from what I understand, it wasn't even worth like a call to follow up because it was so low. And then there's the Gozo piece where I'm just really hoping that this team can stay together. Sanabria had a good World Cup. Solons has had a good rookie year. Do you think we see them move off of any of these players?
So the one piece that's really interesting that kind of leads me that there may be more discussions happening is the Labonite from Atlanta pickup. Very good winger. I actually really like him as well too. Came off the bench lately for Atlanta, but he can play on that left side. He can play kind of a false role, a 10 as well. That's kind of the Gozo Diego Luna positioning pieces. So yes, it's adding definite firepower. This also could be, kind of pushing. I slip in my name right now on the right side. I can't remember who it is. Comes off the bench. It'll come to me at the weirdest time. It could be positioning him to move out. After he came back from Cincinnati being on loan. Marchuk.
Oh, Marchuk.
Yeah. My apologies. Marchuk could be one of those players that Lagunite kind of comes in and comes ahead of him, but it is depth, that they went out and got in a position that they've been very strong with that top 5-6 players. So that's something interesting. I didn't think Diego would actually want to go to Mexico unless it's just something outlandish. And from my understanding, that first one wasn't there. Gozo's the wild card because a team could come in and be like, this kid's He's just got everything. He's young. He's proven. He's tied for top goals on his club team. He's been in the youth national team. That's one where I could see them making an aggressive offer that RSL, works with Gozo, and Gozo wants to make the jump. I hope it's in the winter because I do hope they get through the season because I'm excited for them to come back from this break. Hopefully everyone's healthy. Hopefully everyone's ready to go. But, they're sitting in third place right now, sixth in the Supporter Shield, 7-1 at home. Can't ask for a better first start before going into the break.
Before I set you loose, it's been 17 years since this club has lifted a trophy. And the old saying is just get in the tournament and then see what happens because maybe some injuries take place. But if they stay fully healthy and maybe add another piece or two prior to the end of the transfer window, the chances of them not just making the playoffs but maybe lifting a trophy, what do you think that sounds like?
I think they got a chance. I think San Jose's had the biggest flip around of all year, but they've showed some weakness. Vancouver, first game of the season, but that is a team, that I do think that you can beat. If you hold them, defensively strong, you can counter and get them. LAFC's been up and down. In the East, I think Nashville's been super strong, and obviously Miami. But these are one-off games that I think RSL can go and get. So I would not rule them out. I would not say they're a clear favorite, but they're in a better position than I think they were when they went and won it, or when they went to the final and lost to Kansas City as well. Like as far as talent, players, we're obviously in a different league. But this is one where, you show up that game, anything could happen. If they get on a run, they've got pieces in the front to make it happen. It's just defensively holding them.
Well, Jay, you may be clairvoyant. Spain looks awesome. France can't find any space. So we're in the 94th minute, and Spain maintains that 2-0 lead. So we'll set you loose. Appreciate your time, man. Be well, okay?
Always good talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Jay Nolly, former RSL keeper. You can hear him on some broadcast stuff, and do appreciate his time. Yeah, Spain looks like they're going to wrap this one up. Mbappe had a free kick right outside the box and sent it over the post, and Spain nearly just scored a third. We're in the 94th minute. There are 7 minutes of stoppage time, and Spain leads France 2-0. All right, summer's here. It's hot outside, okay? Do you have your air conditioning blasted all the way up, yet it's still not very cool in your home? Do you run into the same issue in the winter where you have the heater all the way up, but it's still really, really cold? It's your windows, okay? And it's probably beyond time to get those things replaced. Also, as we approach the fall, when school will get going, you might be looking to buy a home or maybe sell a home. You can update your curb appeal by adding new windows. And right now, you can save a lot of money if you need to do that with our friends at Advanced Window Products, okay? The phone number is 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Their summer special going on right now is you can save $2,500 when you purchase 10 windows or more. Now, a new deal they have is if you don't need 10 windows, they're going to prorate the discount to make sure you're still saving money. Great local company. It's our guys, Nate Orchard, who, of course, is still the mayor of Sac Lake City and longtime NFL player, and his buddy Jake Weber. They run a great company with lifetime warranties that are also transferable to new homeowners. So you save $2,500 when you purchase 10 windows or more with our friends at Advanced Window Products by dialing 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, 801-850-9100, or online at advancedwindows.com. We're going to catch a quick break. Coming up next, Steve Starks, the CEO of the LHM Company, will give us an update on Major League Baseball in Utah and what the World Cup has been like for him and the latest on RSL roster construction. Busy Tuesday show. Good to have you with us right here on ESPN 700. All righty, welcome back in. It's episode 19 of Reality Check with Spence Checketts. Really excited for this. The only consistent theme so far in this podcast is the intro plays. That dopey AI picture of me comes up and my guest starts to smirk. And my guest to my right today, Steve Starks, the CEO of the Larry H. Miller Company. I had nothing to do with that, buddy.
It's a good looking picture.
My friends say I look like a bad character on a romance novel. But, you know, AI is what it is. How are you, man? Great to see you.
It's great to see you. Doing really well.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. You and I have known each other for a long time. We worked together once upon a time, and obviously we have both moved on to different endeavors. And one of the things, Steve, I like to do in this space is allow our listeners to kind of get to know the people that make up the ecosystem of sports in Utah. You have a really fascinating background. Of course, Larry H. Miller, may he rest in peace. It feels like he kind of tabbed you as a youngster. So take us through that background, how you first met Larry and first got involved with the company.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would say that I'm a proud Utahn, fifth generation Utahn, and was born in California, but my dad was from here. We moved up when I was a kid and went to Weber High School, Weber State. And I got to know Larry because I was working for Governor John Huntsman, and Larry was involved helping the state. And long story short, he convinced me not to go to business school, to come to work for him instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first job was literally to follow Larry Miller around, and spent a good 2 years with him. And then he passed away. And so I cherished the time that I had to learn from him. But I remember he said two things that really stick out. One is we need to get younger. We need to develop some bench strength. So that was his vision for bringing me on. And the second thing is he said, it's likely that you'll work with my family over the course of your career a lot more than me. And that was obviously foretelling because his health, declined pretty rapidly and he passed away. And so I've had the great privilege to work for the Miller family now for just about 20 years, a variety of roles, did mergers and acquisitions, oversaw various business units, became the president of the Utah Jazz, and did that before becoming the CEO in 2019.
How many pinch myself moments have you had as a kid who grew up here, went to Weber, and suddenly you're like running the Jazz, and suddenly you're like a big part of the ecosystem on our state? I mean, I often say to some of my guests who are in a spot like you, I'm always fascinated with people who live their dreams, because I feel like we all say that. I want to live my dream life, and maybe 1% of people do. And it kind of feels like, in a way, Steve, you are. Is that fair?
Yeah, no question about it. I've had a lot of those moments. It was never a dream to become the president of the Jazz. When I was young, I think in 8th grade, I wanted to be in the NBA, probably like yourself.
Same. We all wanted to be John, right?
That's right. Yeah. And so that's certainly a pinch me moment. I went to the Bulls Jazz final in 96.
97, 98,
It would have
right?
been
96, 97. Okay.
96,
okay.
97,
Mm-hmm.
before my mission. Sat literally in the top row of the arena.
Yeah.
And so there was one of those moments when we traded for George Hill. And in order to finalize the trade, Dennis Lindsay said, hey, we have to finalize the trade, so you have to talk to Larry Bird with the Pacers. And just, we're good.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with Larry Bird, and it was just one of those moments where, he's talking about how we're getting a great player, and we're talking about who we're sending over, and that was a cool moment. But there's been a few of those.
Yeah, I bet. I do want to focus mostly on the here and now, but before we get there, ownership transition took place with the Jazz, and I feel like you always know that you were part of a thing that did an excellent job as far as the way you left it for the new folk. What are you most proud of in your tenure with the Jazz? Because you had an unbelievable run, and a lot of people still talk about the Millers as this incredible ownership group.
Well, I learned a lot about sports, about culture, about business. Some of the best business lessons I've learned came from Dennis Lindsay, Quinn Snyder, two relationships that are still very valuable to me today. I'm proud of the Millers obviously have a ton to be proud of. 36 years, always competitive, one of the longest playoff runs, one of the highest winning percentages. I like to remind people that the Jazz have been in the finals more recently than Houston, if you think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks won one this year, which I love that story because it wasn't so much a big market story as it was a team
for sure
that won, which is really needed in the NBA right now. And so I'm proud of the fact that we were able to build upon a legacy but not be trapped by it. And we renovated the arena, we renovated the practice facility, But more than the physical structure, I felt like we renovated that organization and we brought it back into modern times. We returned it to first class. And when we left, we had the top seed in the West. We had great talent, a combination of veterans and young players like Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. And we had secured the All-Star game to come back. We had the arena renovated again. And so when we did pass ownership to Ryan and Ashley and the Smith family, I felt like we were passing the baton from a position of strength. Mm-hmm. And I know that the Miller family feels really good about that. It wasn't a stressed sell.
Yeah.
It wasn't fans chanting sell the team. It was, hey, this is one of the best franchises in the league. It's the best run franchise and one of them certainly. And we could feel really good about that.
For sure. Excuse me. It did feel kind of like nothing forced, right time for everybody. And then you move on. And then you spend a few years out of the sports ecosystem. And then you decided to get back in with Real Salt Lake. How long have you guys been running the club now?
We closed in April of 25.
April of 25. Okay. So we've got a little sample size now. I can't speak for you, but I was never a soccer guy. In fact, I've told this anecdote before. Excuse me. In 2004, my dad flew into town and said, I want to take you to lunch. I have some news. And we went to Cafe Pierpont, the old Mexican restaurant on Pierpont Ave that was his favorite spot. And to summarize, he said, I'm going to bring a soccer team to Utah. And I said, that's a horrible idea. Why would you do that, right? Because I knew nothing about the game. Now, 22 years since then, 5 World Cup cycles, an MLS Cup run. Still to this day, that team holds a very special place in my heart. I can say that I am now a fan of the game and a soccer guy, which is something I never thought I'd say. What is your experience in soccer prior to taking over the team? And now that it's been nearly a couple of years, where are you at with the game?
Yeah, it's a very similar path. So sports guy, grew up playing sports, including soccer, mm-hmm. like so many youth. I think it's the highest youth participation sport in the country and in Utah, but had been to games, but had not followed the team closely. Mm-hmm. And when David Blitzer called, he really laid out a compelling case. He's like, we bought the team, but we need an anchor owner that lives in Utah that can build from the ground up. And we want to stay invested with you. They had laid a great foundation. And so we came in without a ton of context for the sport, but we knew we could figure it out given our background.
Sure.
And the foundation was really strong there. And so a few things. We've taken the approach of we acknowledge that we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And so let's not go in and break a lot of things. I think that oftentimes sports owners, when they come in, feel like they have to make it, quote, theirs. And so they break or they tear down. And we came in and said, let's build upon, let's invest in, let's not tear down. And we have great infrastructure from a sporting perspective. We have this rich legacy winning the cup, as you know. And so we've done a lot of listening, a lot of learning. We've loved our experience with the league. The other owners are committed. We love the growth of the sport. Its best days are clearly ahead of it. We have to remember the league is only 30 years old.
Yeah.
And the NWSL is much younger than that even. And we're gaining traction quickly. And oftentimes I think soccer can be intimidating to people because they feel like it's a club where you have to learn all of these nuance. And that's just not true.
Right.
It's a beautiful game for a reason. And that is because when you watch it on the pitch, you can see spacing like you see in the NBA. Mm-hmm. You can see the connectivity between the teams and the players and the buildup. And it's incredibly exciting. It's a global talent pool. It's the world's most popular sport, and we're honored to be part of it now.
It's interesting you draw the basketball parallel because after kind of covering the team for about 4 or 5 years, I kind of felt I started to get it a little bit, and it was explained to me in triangles, like watch it in triangles. And Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr have both talked about, they're big international football fans, soccer fans, for those of you who get mad at me. And they talk about the similarities between basketball and soccer, the game. Are there similarities between running an NBA team and an MLS team?
Well, there are, in my mind, in the sense that the values of building winning cultures the same. They mm-hmm. translate. And so that was one of the things we did come in with conviction and culture. So how do we establish a culture of continuity? How do we establish a culture of excellence? How do we build upon what's there? Invest in these people that have been running the team for so long. That translates to the NBA. In order to be world-class, you have to be great at scouting. You have to be great at analytics. You have to be great at drafting, to player development, player acquisition, You have to have great coaching. All those things translate. And then you have to invest.
Yeah.
And we just fundamentally believe that if you invest in the organization, the fan base will invest in you and give them a reason to want to cheer, to come, to watch on Apple TV. And so we're seeing that happen. We made some big investments this year, starting with the infrastructure and all those areas, including health performance and medical. That was one of the early areas that we saw that the team needed some investment in. And if we can keep our players healthy, if we can have them performing at the best possible level, that goes a long way. And they've already mentioned to us they see a difference on that in that area. And then giving our sporting talent the opportunity to be world-class. What tools do they have? What scouts do we have? Where can we make investments to support that? Because as you know, whether it's the NBA and sending Royce O'Neal to the G League or Rudy Gobert to the G League to develop, or whether it's developing Xavier Gozo, your best investment is through development. And if we can be world-class at that, that gives us a competitive advantage. And our academy is truly one of the best in the league. It has been for a long time.
Yeah.
We stepped into that, and now we just want to add more fuel to that fire and then be good in all those other areas.
So I always thought that Jason Christ was going to coach the national team one day because, of course, he was hired here, won a cup, had a great 4 or 5 year stretch, went to New York, didn't work out, Orlando, and I was always surprised because I just think so highly of him as a soccer mind. And you tabbed Jason to be your president of soccer. So he oversees the operations for both the men and the women. What motivated you to do that, and what sort of job has he done so far?
He's done a great job. We love Jason and his perspective across many clubs, successes and failures. That always makes you a better leader.
For sure.
And so we wanted somebody that could ensure continuity across both clubs. And so if we're going to invest in health performance and analytics, let's leverage that for RSL. Let's also leverage it for the Royals. And having somebody that has perspective over both made a lot of sense to us. Jason's done a phenomenal job so far. And in first year, I think you've seen where we're near the top of the table in both leagues right now. And that's a credit to Jason. That's a credit to Kurt and Kelly, our coaches, and the organization that we're trying to build.
Pablo, once upon a time, was a dreaded midfielder for the Colorado Rapids, our rival. And he came here to be Freddie Juarez's assistant. Freddie left to take an assistant job with Seattle, even though he's the head coach here. And Pablo was asked to take over during a time of very turbulent waters. And now that you have kind of settled things, I'm excited to see what he can do without wondering who his boss is and wondering what's next for the club. What stands out most to you about Pablo now that you've been able to get to know him and the job that he's done?
Yeah. First of all, he's a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
And you listen to him talk and you realize that there's a life experience that's deep. I enjoy the way he approaches the players. He's thoughtful. He's intellectual. He's curious. A lot of things that Quinn Snyder has that I've really enjoyed getting to know Pablo and watching him work with the team. He's a great mind for soccer, and he has a great touch. I think in order to be a really effective coach, you have to know the tactical parts of the game, but you have to know how to lead people. And there's a whole lot of emotions involved with that. And it seems like Pablo does a great job with both.
Yeah, well said. You had referenced Gozo. So here we go. We got Gozo. We got Diego. You could even make a case for Juanma Sanabria now that he's had a World Cup experience. And Sergi Solans, your rookie striker who looks awesome. I know the phone is ringing. What sort of – and look, because I was raised in a different ecosystem, I hate the dynamic of watching us develop Diego Luna and then before he's even in his prime, moving him onto a club for a fee. But soccer's different with that ecosystem. RSL fans are curious because this is a good team. You have a chance to do something special. I'm not asking you to break news here, but just walk us through that dynamic as you guys have some decisions to make on your young players.
It's probably the biggest change
for
from
sure.
The Jazz.
Yeah.
And Steve Miller, who is the chairman of RSL Holdings and the governor for RSL and the Royals, Steve always says this is so different than what we're used to because you want to retain your best talent. You want to keep them here for the long term. In soccer, some of these guys have the dream to go to Europe. And so the first thing we've established is a good relationship with each of them. What do they want long-term for their career and their families? And how do we give them every opportunity to accomplish that here? And then knowing the day may come when they want to leave, or it may be in the best interest of the club. Having said that, it's really hard for us to do midseason sales, particularly on a team who's really good.
Yeah.
And this team is worthy. Both teams are worthy of our continued investment this year. And so to disrupt the momentum we have and to minimize our chances at winning the cup by making a midseason transaction would be really difficult for us to do. So with this team and the players you just mentioned, we're looking for ways to invest in the club, not to maximize, player transactions right now.
Yeah.
And so this is a team that is sitting in third place in the West, and it's young, it has interesting talent all up and down the spine. And we have athleticism, we have youth, we have veterans who are playing really well. And we want to go for it this year.
How can MLS capitalize on this moment right now where the world is watching this game and our country is watching this game on record levels? I think we were all hoping our national team was going to maybe take another step or two. They didn't, but that's okay. I mean, for anyone that's never experienced a World Cup, it's so cool. And it goes away, and then you forget about it, and it comes back. But look, it was played on our soil for the first time since 94. In 94, when it was played here, it directly led to the creation of MLS. How can MLS capture this moment?
Well, let me share experience if I could.
Yeah.
I went to Seattle. I took my 12-year-old daughter to the U.S. Men's national team when we played Australia.
Nice.
And I've been to a lot of sporting events in my life, some really cool ones. I have to tell you, attending a World Cup match, cheering for America, was literally the best sporting event I've ever been to.
Yeah.
At one point, my daughter, who's also at a young age been to a lot of sporting events, she said, "Dad, this is the toughest event I've ever been to."
Huh.
I think I've just hit my peak when it comes to sporting events.
Yeah.
And it's because there's a joyfulness around it. There's a patriotism about it that's pure. There's flyovers. People get there 3 hours early. There's singing. And it was a remarkable event to be at. And I think that it's caught hold in America right now. We have had watch parties at America First Field. We've had 90,000 people throughout the course of the World Cup come to watch parties.
Is that U.S. and Mexico?
Yeah, U.S.
That's so
and Mexico.
Cool. Yeah.
And I think that the fuse has been lit here, and people are just waking up to this sport who haven't been acquainted with it. And we expect to grow the fan base. And now I think, as you said, it's an opportunity to say, hey, as MLS is now running a campaign starting today, hey, world, we've got next.
Yeah.
And it's some of the best athletes playing for World Cup teams. 45 of them are playing MLS. So you can see these athletes playing in this league. And I think it's only going to get better. With the schedule change, I think we're going to see more transfers in and out. I think the European and South American players, African players, are seeing what soccer feels like in America, and it's been amazing.
Yeah.
And so it all bodes well for continued growth. And the trajectory is already high, and I think this just adds to it.
Yeah, there's an MLS striker who plays for Argentina who's playing all right. I think you pronounce it Messi.
We had 100,000 ticket requests for when Messi came
Oh
here.
my gosh, wow.
And it was one of the best sporting events. He's literally arguably the best ever in the world's most popular sport.
Yeah.
He came to Sandy.
Yeah.
And but for 2 late goals, we would have had him.
You had referenced the schedule change. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. In fact, I think a lot of people have been an advocate for this for a long, long time, but it does provide some logistical challenges, right? If you live in a market that usually has winter, we didn't last year. You guys would have been fine last year, but you're probably going to have to make some changes to the stadium in preparation for this schedule change. Can you share some of those?
Yeah. John Kimball always likes to say that 91% of the schedule remains the same. And so we're not seeing that it's going to be markedly different than what people have experienced. There may be a couple cold weather games added. And so we hired a world-class architect in Gensler. They are in design right now on a stadium renovation. New seats, enhance the fan experience, new digital, and some really interesting club spaces. New investment on the east side entry, food and beverage. So we want to enhance the fan experience. I want to enhance the player experience on level 1, 2. So we're in design. Expect to see renderings of what that renovation looks like in the coming weeks. We're really excited about it, though. And so that's one thing that we're doing. I think that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages because now we're going to be lined up with the FIFA window.
Okay.
And that will allow for player movement, which I think bodes well for us.
Yeah. A few minutes left here. As somebody who is a sports talk radio host in Utah, I do love covering soccer in the summer, but I'd really love covering baseball in the summer.
Yeah.
We're all excited about the potential of you guys bringing this unbelievable sport that would add so much to our community here. What's the update as far as bringing a Major League Baseball team here, Steve?
Yeah, we continue to be what the New York Times said, a front runner.
Yep.
We believe that. Baseball has to get through a collective bargaining agreement. That's taking place. Those discussions are ongoing now. We hope that they get resolution at the end of this year. If it bleeds into next year, it does. But then the commissioner has said that they want to move to expansion after that. Here's what I think people should know. We're the most prepared market. We have 100 acres at the Power District on the west side. Our state leaders created a very innovative and wise public-private partnership that protects the taxpayer, but also enables the construction of an MLB stadium. By the way, at least half of that's privately financed, and there's not a tax increase on the citizens for that. So we have public financing and a public-private partnership in place. We have an ownership group in place that's very well respected across the country. We have the right market in terms of growth. Youngest state, one of the fastest growing states, one of the best economies. And we're in a market that doesn't cannibalize any other market. And so people here, and we did a study on this, they're fans of Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, Cubs, and we don't pull away from just the Rockies or the Diamondbacks. We're far enough away that this is a growth market for MLB. And so we love our chances. We're going after it with our full force and conviction. And it's been amazing to see the support that we have.
For sure. I wonder how often you're in contact with Commissioner Manfred or the people in baseball, just because this collective bargaining agreement, this round of negotiations, it could get pretty tense. There's some issues this league has to look at. Look at the Dodgers, respectfully, right? So throughout the course of this community waiting for it, what's your communication like with MLB?
They've been very clear that's their first priority.
Yeah.
And they have to get through a CBA. Having said that, we have appropriate levels of conversation with them, and they know there's going to be a process, and we're ready to go through that process. I think that we're viewed as the most prepared. We literally check every box, and I think that others are playing catch up for us. That's been acknowledged by, informally by people in the know in that baseball ecosystem.
It's almost anytime anything is written about expansion, it's Salt Lake, and then there's a little Nashville here, and then you get some other, maybe Portland has a late play. But I feel like right now we have to be the favorite in the clubhouse almost everywhere, right?
Yeah. I think so. That's what the national media reports.
Yeah.
And we're not taking it for granted. We still are working very hard behind the scenes. We want to be shovel ready. So we're working on that. We have the site laid out. And hopefully when that expansion process starts, we can go lay out a case that we think will be very compelling.
Yeah.
And we should always bet on Utah.
I just want to see Aaron Judge drink a swig or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Real quick, we'll end on this. As far as the process to land on a name, that's what everybody always wants to know. Like, what is this team going to be named? How do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, if we're successful through this process, what we'll do is we'll narrow it down to a few names. A lot of those names people know and have been widely circulated. And we would involve the fans. We think that this is such an interesting opportunity to bring America's pastime to Utah that the fan base here ought to participate in naming the team. And we would give them options and choices and narrow it down. And we love the creativity that we see on social media where people have not only named the team, but they've created design and logos and branding. And so we want to lean into all of that. And we're working behind the scenes to make sure that we're prepared to be able to lay out options that people would love.
Well, look, great to see you. You have checked your interview with Spence box once every 3 years, so we're going to set you loose. Okay, be well, Steve.
Let me just say this. Spence, you do a great job. Thank you for all that you do for sports. Your dad's become a great friend and a mentor, and your family has invested heavily in building what this state is from a sports perspective. And so thank you.
All right, there you go. Steve Starks, the CEO of the LHM Company. Some good stuff on the update to bring Major League Baseball to Utah and where we're at with RSL as they continue to try to build that team to maybe lift a trophy for the first time in 17 years. Reminder, that's from the Reality Check with Spence Checketts page. You can find that wherever you get your shows. It's our new podcast in conjunction with our friends at KUTV, and it is televised on Friday nights on both KJazz and KMYU at 9:30. So if you want to see the TV portion of it, that's where you find it. I'll be on TV with Dave Fox tonight. We call it 5 Questions with Spence. And Dave will be in studio in about an hour. But coming up next, my old buddy Gordon Monson will join us. We'll do a little college football, some Big 12 media days, Jazz Summer League, and we'll go from there. Busy Tuesday show. Good to have you with us right here on ESPN 700. All right, special thanks to Steve Starks for taking some time to join the podcast today. We'll bring that back around a little bit later. Some really good stuff from Steve today on the project to bring Major League Baseball to our market, and an update for RSL. Gordon Monson is going to join us coming up in just a little bit. Instagram influencer Dave Fox will join the program as well. A new report from the Wall Street Journal. So if you haven't been following it, Ward Manuel, who's the athletic director for Michigan for now, there's noise around him that his job could be in jeopardy. And there's a report today, if I'm getting this right, that a year before Sharon Moore was fired for an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, the school's athletic director, Ward Manuel, told him not to travel with her, according to a law firm investigation. This is just coming out. I have not read the piece as of yet, so we'll kind of keep you up to date there. But obviously, Michigan football has a new head coach. His name is Kyle Whittingham. And live in studio with a color-coordinated shirt and hat per usual, my guy, Gordon Monson. What's up, man? How are you?
Am I a couple minutes late?
Well, I mean, for our listeners who may not remember, this is sparking memories of a radio show that we did together where many days, our producer, Austin, hey, buddy, how are you? Mm-hmm. He would bring me on air. We would start the show. I would intro the show, and then you would walk in and join us when you were ready.
But you did such a fantastic
Don't
job.
patronize me.
Okay.
How are you, man?
I'm doing just fine, thanks.
How was California?
It was good, except for apparently there was some rioting going on down there in Newport Beach where I was. And now, is this a thing?
Rioting?
No, well,
Yes.
I guess there was a teenage TikTok gathering down there.
What?
Yes.
And that led to riots?
And they were like ransacking the Pavilion's grocery store down there. And my daughter and my grandkid, they're in the store, and like 5 minutes before this place started going crazy.
Porter, will you do some recon to see if there was TikTok-inspired rioting in Newport Beach over the weekend?
Yeah, apparently there was also like a lot of Newport Beachians who were mad they couldn't light off fireworks.
Oh, was that
okay.
what it was? It was people. See, I didn't think it was locals. I thought it was people coming in, hearing the call to come on in and just create havoc. These youngsters these days, what are you going to do?
I'm
Dang, whippersnappers.
I'm Googling Newport Beach riots. Over 400 people arrested during chaos in Newport Beach. It was were you there for the 4th?
Yes, I was there.
Oh.
So we got there on I got there a little early, but we got into the house at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on Friday.
The compound at 3 o'clock?
It was a nice place.
I'm sure it was.
Anyway, and then the big stuff happened the next day.
Okay,
I was in my my surfer dude kind of environment, so I was all chill.
You were pretty chill and relaxed?
Yeah, I was catching some tasty waves and getting a righteous buzz.
You still can get up on a surfboard, huh?
I don't want to brag.
Okay, it's impressive.
Yeah. And the surf was up. It was nice.
There you go.
Yeah, so these people, my daughter comes back and she says, I did not feel safe. And I'm like, what?
Huh.
We're in freaking Newport Beach. What's going on here?
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to be a rather safe vacation destination.
Yeah, a lot of Utahns there. I saw a lot of license plates down there. So that was my experience. Plus, I took the whole clan, the whole family.
Everybody.
I took them, not only 21 people in all in the house, and then Spence, you're going to laugh at this. This is something your dad would do. Only I'm not in his league. But took them all to Disneyland.
You took 21 people to Disneyland. Did you cash in all the retirement to make that happen? That's a pricey endeavor.
$5 I can borrow.
Yeah, that's a pricey endeavor. You want a Little Mermaid doll? That'll be $79.99.
Well, and I made that mistake at the end. I could tell some of my grandkids wanted a toy, and so I said, okay, look. I told their parents, I said, look, just buy them all a toy, and I'll cover that. And I didn't realize it was going to be, $300 for a little doll.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But anyway.
Inflation at Disney.
But it was fun. We had a good time.
Are you still, once upon a time, you were convinced that somewhere in Newport Beach, it was the only place that had like a chocolate ice cream cone that was good?
Look, this thought came to my mind.
You can get one at Arctic Circle for 49 cents.
My wife killed me on this because we went to the cozy cones or comfy cones in Disneyland there in Cars Land.
Okay.
Where you get the dipped cone.
Uh-huh.
And it was closed.
You didn't get your cone?
Then I went over to Balboa and got it over
That's
there.
where it was. Balboa. That's where it was.
But Lisa says to me, yeah, you got to get your cone that Spence used to tell you that you could get down at Arctic Circle. And I thought it was something special. Anyway.
Well, maybe it's a special cone place, but you did speak of it as if it was some holy grail that only Balboa had.
Not true. But, I don't know. Is Disneyland the happiest place on earth?
No, it's not. It is when you're 8. But it's not when you're old. When you're older, I feel like it's just stressful.
Well, I made a mistake. I mean, I've been walking, trying to keep moving.
There you go. Good.
They say that's really healthy, whatnot, better than sitting on the lazy boy all the time. And so I've been walking, but I wore the wrong shoes, Spence.
That's a misstep.
It was really, literally and figuratively, in every way possible. My feet were. Yeah, I walked probably about 11 miles.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
But my feet are killing me.
Yeah.
The shoes.
You have to have appropriate footwear.
I had never worn those shoes during the day. I mean, I've worn them a few times on a treadmill or something like that. But man, that was a rookie mistake.
Did we do okay with the chafing? Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because that will ruin a vacation.
No problem there at all. Everything stayed intact, and
good.
Compacted.
Okay. All right. Let's not take it too far. But I have been on a Disney vacation where I didn't appropriately handle the entire situation. They'll put you on your back because you can't walk around. I mean, it's one thing to have footwear that's bad. It's another thing to have the rubbing of the inner thigh. Then it's all over.
Your problem is you're a little on the muscular side, and so
well said. No argument there.
There's a little more of that contact.
It's true.
I did not suffer
Good.
bad fate, but I did stand a lot.
Yeah.
And that's standing. You think about all the steps you take, and I'm sure all your listeners, many of your listeners have been down there, and you know what the drill is. But, man, I'll tell you, when you're not walking, you're standing.
Yes.
And when you're standing is almost worse than walking.
What was the oh, sorry, finish that. Yeah.
When you're walking, you're at least in motion.
Yes,
it's
correct.
Like being stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
You're just stuck. You'd rather be moving, even if you had to go 50 miles out of your way.
What was the longest line you waited in for which ride?
It wasn't that bad.
Oh, good.
I think it was about 45 minutes.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Is there still the ability to do like the fast pass where you go get the thing?
It's
okay.
called Lightning Lane.
Oh.
Now.
Did you guys take advantage of that?
Yeah, and we did the baby swap too, so that came in handy.
What's the baby swap?
If you have an infant with you, one person could go ahead and go on the ride and on weights, and then when you come back, 2 more can go. Baby swap and go straight to the.
So you exploited your grandchildren.
Exactly.
To not wait in line. Okay.
Well, how about a little something for the effort?
You can do what you got to do.
We had a good time, Spence.
Good. Great. Love to hear that.
It's funny that you asked me about that because your name came up, I think, about 5 times in relation to the dipped cone.
Yeah.
That did not exist that day. But then I found out later that someone found another place there at Disneyland where you can get that.
So you had everybody was there. No absent names.
No, everybody.
Wow.
Everybody. And we did the park hopper.
Perfect. Yeah.
Both parks.
Good.
So it was a nice day. Although we got there at 8:00 in the morning. It opens at 8, supposedly. And at 8:00 at night, I said, "Okay, I'm done."
You went 8 to 8?
I went 8 to 8.
That's impressive.
And half of them went all the way to midnight.
Oh, wow.
I said 12 hours is enough.
Yeah. I mean, those are really fun days for sure. I mean, those are days that are like core memories for kids.
Yeah.
But there's a crash and sleep element to a long day at Disney where you're going to sleep well. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And the next day when I woke up, I was feeling a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was a good time. It was not quite as much fun as playing golf, but it was, I was spending time with the family. The older you get, all you folks out there, let me take some advice from an old man. Relish the times you got. Just relish them. I wrote about this when I wrote about my dad, and it was just. You think sometimes I'm sitting there in line waiting. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, but those are the memories you make that are worth making.
It is wild how fast it goes. Like Connor's turning 25 next month, and you just go, wait a second, what happened? You were a baby like yesterday.
Yeah.
How many grandkids now?
10.
10 grandkids.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
could have a lot more because only 3 of the 5 daughters have kids, but they one in particular that you always accused me of being my favorite.
Aaron.
Lauren.
Oh, Lauren. Well,
Lauren.
I mean, no, Lauren is your. I mean, we all know.
We all know.
Yeah.
No, actually, there's a good battle going on, and I kind of enjoy it.
Who are the two? Who are the two that we're battling now?
All of them.
No, Gordon.
No, all of them want to be the favorite.
Yeah, but which one is?
It's I plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, there's always just an extra spark when we talk because Lauren's the one. Does she have 5?
7.
She has 7. So 7 of the 10, Lauren and her husband. Very nice.
I mean, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
She's got 7. One of them has 2, and the other one has 1. And so it was a good time. Have you been? How's it been going here?
Everything's good.
Like I leave and it's 79 degrees at the beach. I come back here and it's like 108.
Yeah.
109.
No, we've had a horrible heat stretch. I played golf at Bonneville on Sunday and left like dizzy, cold shower nap style. It was. I believe we've set a record like for 2 straight days of heat on record.
So what were you just drinking water?
A lot of water. Yeah, a lot of water.
Did that help?
No, nothing. It was a bad decision to be outside on Sunday. I mean, it was intense, but we missed you at Media Day. We need to get you out to a Media Day.
Yeah, I missed that. That would have been fun to be out there with you. But, yeah. I talked to a couple NBA folks because I was going to stop in Vegas because we drove because everybody else flew and I drove. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Wait, you and Lisa were the only ones who drove and everyone else flew?
One other family drove.
Oh, okay.
But we had all the stuff, we were bringing everything back.
Yeah.
But so we were coming back, coming through Vegas, and I talked to a couple people involved with the Summer League. And I'll tell you, Spence, I drove through there and I said, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
It was 118 degrees.
Yep.
Just get me out of there.
Yeah, Vegas in July. I think I've been to 5 Vegas Summer Leagues, and I'm good. I don't ever want to go again.
And the other thing about it is the star players only play a game or 2.
Yeah.
And then they're done.
Yeah.
And after that, boy, I tell you, Summer League, I mean, I know a lot of people around here have been really into it because they want to see what DP is doing and what AJ is doing. But I'll tell you, it is sloppy basketball.
Yeah.
And the refs, I mean, it gets rough out there, and it's just like, what am I watching here?
Yeah,
You're the basketball aficionado. What do you make of it?
It's always tough to figure out what's real because, as I say often, like I don't know if you were at Summer League in '97. It was the summer. I think it was the summer of '97 when Greg Ostertag was like outplaying Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we're like, what's going on here? As history unfolded, those careers took a little bit of a different path. But it's the NBA trying new rules oftentimes. They try it on Summer League. As you referenced, the officiating, most of them are trying to break into the league, so it's like new refs. Then you get a weird dynamic oftentimes where, depending on the coach, he's trying to like show off what he can do. That's not going out with the Jazz because Steve Wojciechowski is one of Will's lead assistants. I really think is showing us how they want to use Darren. And then you have a bunch of guys who are fighting and clawing and scrapping for a job.
Yeah.
And so they're playing really hard, but it isn't necessarily like good flow, aesthetically pleasing basketball. So you never want to over or underreact to what you see in Summer League. The only bad news is when like your top picks don't play well or like your vets have a rough time. And, I think it's a big year for Cody Williams. Had a few moments, but
Still, what's going on with that one, Spence?
I'm not sure that it's going to work. And the good news is I don't know that it really has to at this point. You want to. He was a top 10 pick, but you look over the history of pro basketball, there are plenty of guys picked in the top 10 where if you look at lists, you'll be like, huh? Who is that? Because he just never worked. But I do think we saw a lot from Darren that you get Jazz fans really excited about.
Well, I was watching against when they were playing the Wizards because I wanted to see the showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And Spence, I tell you, I was worried about certain players getting hurt.
Yeah.
Just because it seemed like Darren was getting knocked around left and right. And
Yeah.
that's frustrating for those of us who enjoy a certain purity in basketball because that's not real basketball.
Right.
That's something else. And I know there are probably 1 or 2 Detroit Pistons fans from the 80s that really enjoy that kind of basketball. But for me, I want to see guys play, and I want to see what they're capable of doing. How do you think he's going to fit in? Because I was thinking about that as he was playing with the players he was had to play with in that particular situation.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, how's it going to be when Markkanen's on the floor?
Yeah.
Or when Keontae is open?
Mm-hmm.
Or how is it? I know you and I have talked about it in the past, and I know there are some people that are going bananas with their optimism. I think you're cautiously optimistic, but Spence, I think they're onto something special.
I'm very excited about Darren. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic about the team because what they really told us with the Walker Kessler decision is they don't believe they're a contender this year, and they're not, and they may not be a contender for the next few years, depending on things that play out with their peers in the West. But San Antonio, they signed Tobias Harris to add to the group. They bring back Julian Champagny. Victor Wembanyama just took a discount on his rookie extension, and not a massive one, but if there's one player in the NBA right now that can go to the team and say, give me all of it, it's him, and he didn't. So that's a good sign. I really think that their decision-making is steeped in their belief that they have two potential stars on the roster, and they're both 19. And it's Darren and it's Ace. Yeah. So I think they're going to kind of slow play this and let Darren and Ace now learn how to win because they do have a good team with veteran players that can look. But anything above 42, 43 wins, anything beyond that, I think it's expecting way too much. So I think they're going to keep slow playing this and wait till Darren and Ace, are kind of 23, 24. And then maybe San Antonio's had to lose some pieces. Oklahoma City looks a little bit different. And then maybe that's when we can talk about them as a team that might contend.
I'm not a fan. I take pride in not doing that. But I think I can look at things and make decisions about how I'm leaning. And, Spence, I hope it doesn't take that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Darren is a guy, he's a talent that I think can make a difference. I think he'll make a difference this year.
Yeah.
I really do. The other guys, Ace finished strong, and Markkanen can do what he does. I think Jaren Jackson is a hell of a player, and so I'm going, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. When they did the Walker Kessler thing, I'm going, okay, there are people out there that are going to put their blessing on this trade, but to me, it spoke of the Jazz continually backing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at the future. And I used the quote in a column I wrote about that, and I said, what about what George Allen said? The future is now. Why can't the future be now?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be 4 or 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a nice sign and signal of good faith for the Jazz to do whatever they could to make this team. And if it's going to create complications, I get that. You got to pay Keontae, right? You're going to have to. There's going to be a time where the Jazz are going to have to really roll out a lot of cash, but I don't care. Jazz fans have waited long enough.
Yeah.
I think with the support they've given this team, they deserve to see the absolute best that Austin Ainge can put on the floor.
Yeah, and they're going to take a jump this year. I'm not trying to rain on the parade, but if Walker was there as your starting center, it does change the calculation. And look, Yusuf Nurkic played really well last year under Will Hardy, which I think took a lot of people by surprise. Mm-hmm. He essentially salvaged his NBA career, but you could do worse than Yusuf Nurkic, I suppose. Jackson Hayes is an athlete that's never really learned how to play the game, and Mo Bamba's your third center. And if that's the group, it changes what they could have been if Walker was your starter.
And that what you just said there, what could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, Jazz fans have had it up to here with what could have been or could have been or what might be. No, put it on the floor now.
Yeah.
Put on the floor what you got and run with it and see what it can bring. Because these fans, I get it. Back in the day, remember we used to talk about how Jazz fans are spoiled and all this, and maybe they were to some extent in some ways, but these people have never seen a championship short of than stars. And it would just be, I would like to see the looks on people's faces here who have been constant fans and staying with the team regardless of the fact that the Jazz didn't want to win over the last 4 years. Give them everything you've got to see if it can be something special, finally, since 98.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found it somewhat fascinating that they did decide to make the trade with the Lakers for Kessler. I texted, and I'm fine saying this because he told me I could. Austin just told me like it was a value play. We got essentially 4 picks for Walker, 2 first-round picks and 2 swaps. That's more draft capital than Boston got for Jaylen Brown. That's more capital than Dallas got for Luka. And look, there are some other pieces involved in those deals as well. I have to wonder because they could have matched that deal. It was more than they were offering, and it was a different contract. Walker got a player option in the 4th year. Jazz wanted around.
Quicker.
Correct. Jazz wanted around for 5 years, and the shorter deal allows Walker to renegotiate a bigger deal sooner rather than later, probably some more guaranteed money up front. But I didn't think it was enough for the Jazz just to walk away from it. But the Lakers called and said, look, we'll execute a sign and trade for a restricted free agent. It's rare. It's even more rare to get that amount of draft capital. Now, to your point, fans don't cheer for future draft picks. So it's like, great, we got more picks, but when are we going to have a team that is able to keep up with their peers and maybe do something special?
Especially in the tough West.
Right. And especially with Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio, you want bigs that can provide pushback, and Walker was uniquely qualified to do that.
Another strong point. So why? I mean, I get the why, but I'm not sure that I fully am on board with it because I think the fans here deserve more. How much did he mention that they were concerned about the expenses that are coming over the next number of years?
He didn't say that, but other people have surmised that that's the possibility. And then the other part is you just have to wonder, even though the Jazz would have been within their rights to say, I don't care if you want Los Angeles. You can pick it. You can pick that in 5 years. Yeah. They could have simply just matched it and brought him back. But I do have to wonder if there was some sort of conversation about like, look, man, he just wants to go. Yeah. And if you bring him back and force him to stay, he is leaving when he can. Donovan sent that message. It's why he was traded. Hayward never sent any message. He just left. Like you can't run the risk of losing him for free. So you keep Walker around for the next 4 years. You could have done that. But if you feel like he's leaving anyway, give me 4 picks, and then we'll go try to recalibrate.
How much do you think, Spence, that comes into play? Because there was a lot of talk of that because people are saying, oh, man, the Jazz hopefully will get A.J. DeBonta because he seems to like it here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Darren Peterson has said all the right things.
Yeah.
And he's played hard. He looks like he's the real deal. How often does that happen? And you have certain relations with certain NBA front office types. How often do they take that into consideration? Do they feel like if a player doesn't want to be here or isn't especially happy here, that is automatic poisons that's going to have to see him shipped out?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think in Salt Lake, what you have to do is get the player on the ground. And if the Jazz would have matched Walker's deal, they would have had 7 years to convince him this is a place for him to be. So, but like what I like about Austin is now we have 2 straight drafts where last year Ace Bailey's handler, agent, Omar Cooper, whoever the hell that dude was leaking to the media and talking on social media videos himself that Ace wants Washington. We want Ace to go to Washington. Washington was at 6, and Austin was like, I don't care. Okay, sorry. Like, we have the 5th pick, and we think he's the best player, so we're going to take him. Then this year with Darren, it was like he's only going to work out for Washington, behind back channel. Does he want to be in? Who cares? He's at 2. We think he's the best player at 2. We're taking him.
Smart move for the leaders of the team to go back there and visit with him and talk to them. And if you believe what you read or what you hear from Darren, that had an impact on him. He seemed like he was really excited to come here. And I don't know, I'm as skeptical as the next guy, but I kind of believe him. I think they went in there and he said, and they told him how they wanted to use him. Will Hardy wasn't there, but he was via on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And they convinced him that, man, you would be a hugely valuable part of this. You'd be this. He's going to be the star.
Yeah.
He's going to be the star of this show. He's going to be the leader of the show. And he was excited about it.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, we'll catch a break. Coming up next, Big 12 Media Days took place while Gordo was away. We'll do some Utah football, some BYU football. Instagram influencer Dave Fox will join the show a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. I want to let you know that coming up this week, you can join us at the Brighton Resort for the first day of the 2026 Women's Disc Golf Championship. That's coming up on Thursday, July the 16th. Fans can watch the championship live. Just visit our event page on our website for the link. It's ESPN700sports.com. VIP or general admission tickets at ESPN700sports.com right now. Text and win 877-353-0700. Text women's disc golf. Text us your favorite women's disc golf player. And we're going to send you to see the event at 877-353-0700. More with Gordon coming up next. And also stay tuned for your chance to win Zach Bryan tickets right here on ESPN 700. Gordon Monson is live in studio, our friend from the Salt Lake Tribune, my old radio partner from back in the day. Let's get Gordo's mic on there. We got 51 days from college football, Gordo. It's right around the corner.
Yes, it is. And I've spent some time with various football programs around here and have talked with some coaches and spent 2 hours with Kalani.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And talked to some other folks down there, and I'm aiming to do the same thing with Morgan Scalley and just get a feel for what's going on. And I will say this. I'll say this much because I'm going to write about it, my experience with Kalani. But I kept asking him about football and how it's progressed from yeah to yeah. You know, how did it get from here to there? And, you know, you grew up a poor boy, and now here you are, filthy rich. And you know what he said? He sounded like John freaking Lennon. All you need is love. All you need is love. And so it'll be a really unique look at him and where he is and how he's doing his business and what he's learned. Because these guys, Spence, when they start out, they think they know it, but they don't. They have to learn as they go. And Kalani has learned a lot. And he's BYU football. We talk about whether you're optimistic or pessimistic. I'm optimistic about BYU and Utah football. I don't know so much about Utah State yet, but I think this is going to be a good time to be a football fan in the state.
It's always the guys that are being paid $9 million a year that preach about all you need is love, right? Like it helps when you're making $9 million a year. It's funny you reference that, though, because we had a chance to sit with them at Big 12 Media Days. And, look, I don't know what the number is, and BYU's a private institution. But when we asked him, because I've said on a number of occasions, I used to say with you, like, Bronco left, and it actually broke during our radio show. And we both said, call Kalani, just make the call, make him your head man. And I've said ever since he took the job, like, I know there were some up and down years and some independence, what's next. But once this thing settled, felt like Kalani could coach in Provo as long as he wanted to. And then you hear it's Penn State, and you're like, oh, dude, like, okay, that's like a top 5 to 8 job in college football. So I asked him, like, what was that like, you know, during that time, and what ultimately landed you back home and motivated you not to leave? He didn't fully say the paycheck, but he alluded to it a little bit more strongly than I thought. His terms was like, I just went into the AD's office and said, I need to know if you're committed to football. I need to know if this matters to you. And he said, and they showed me that it did. And a lot of alums kind of came together. Our guy Cookie Bro was like, hey, I got cookie money. So hold on a second. So I don't know what the number is, but based off of kind of he's very happy with how things worked out.
And he feels wanted and loved there, and that part of it is really true. And there were some things he said that convinced me that he wasn't BSing.
Yeah.
And I'll share some of those things in the weeks ahead. But I talked with him, and I talked to a couple of the players and a couple of the coaches. So I got a bunch of stuff stacked up for BYU, and I got to do the same thing with Utah, and I'll write those things leading up to fall camp. And but it's looking good, man. I mean, it's looking good. They got both of these programs have some studs.
Yeah,
they got some players, and everyone. You get asked this all the time. What's Morgan going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be good? Is he going to be? You know it as well as anyone. Morgan is a smart dude. He knows what he's doing. Now, will that motivate young people? Will he be able to land the kind of talent that he needs? Will he have the financial resources to back that up? Those are questions that I'll see as time goes by. But as far as the brains that it takes to be a good head football coach at a major college program, no problem with that with Morgan. And Kalani's a lot. I mean, that dude is smart. He's smart like a fox. I mean, he really is. He knows, and he knows a lot. He's learned a lot through the years from some really good football coaches, and he's well aware of how to do this, especially in a place like BYU. And he feels at home there. And he doesn't – remember how Bronco used to make reference to the Stripling Warriors and, make Book of Mormon references?
Yep.
Kalani does that a little bit here and there. He knows where he's working, but he's a a deeply religious man who doesn't wear it on his sleeve.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he just believes it. And he believes it at a level that's a little different. As you know, and many of your listeners know, in the LDS faith, there are all kinds of different people. There are people who are letter of the law. You know, they're gonna play it by the book, always by the book, and never any other way. And you can call them faithful, you can call them fanatical, whatever you want. And then there are people who are a little more relaxed. They're a little more. They go with the flow a bit more, and they're able to be effective in that environment by loving people up. You know, and Kalani errs on that side, and it's working for him. So, but he can. Here's the other thing about Kalani. People think, oh, he's such a nice guy. He's so friendly, and he's got a side to him that you wouldn't want to mess with.
Sure.
And we talked about the fights he used to get in when he was a player.
Mm.
And I mean, I'm telling you, full on brawls.
Yeah.
And he was a part of that. So he's got that in him, and it hasn't completely evaporated.
Yeah.
Even amongst all the love.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to kind of consider maybe what Kalani had learned playing for Lavelle, because it felt like Lavelle's kind of soft-handed approach to Jim McMahon golfing naked at Hobble Creek with a six-pack in his golf cart and things like.
Full frontal.
That's what I heard. The rumor out there is our guy was out there buck naked swinging a golf club. But Lavelle seemed to be able to find that line between, no, like, we are different here, and if you're going to play for us, then there are certain things that you need to adhere to. But in the case that you don't, let's figure it out, right? As opposed to, the heavy fist approach that some BYU fans completely prefer and want, by the way. Don't love maybe turning a blind eye to certain behavioral patterns, or don't love more of like the soft approach. But I actually think it's a more realistic way to operate instead of expecting for perfection from teenagers.
Right.
Because you're never going to get it.
Kalani shared an exchange he had with Lavelle. And I mentioned earlier how he used to get in fights with different guys. And these were the kind of fights where you fight with someone and then you go out and drink a root beer with them or whatever you're drinking. But he said that after one exchange, it was really fiery. Kalani said Lavelle came up to him and said, "Why are you doing that? Why are you fighting guys? Is that really what you want to do? I like your fire, but it doesn't need to erupt into a fight."
Yeah.
And Kalani remembered it word for word today. And so he learned a lot from Lavelle. And Lavelle, I remember talking to Lavelle about Kalani when he was a player. Man, I'm getting old, Spence. And Lavelle said to me, that kid's going to be a really good coach.
Way back then.
Way back then.
Interesting.
Long before he was ever a coach. He was a champion of Kalani Satake for what he could see in him. And boy, I tell you again, and Lavelle is a lot like Kalani is. People thought, oh man, he distributes duties, and he doesn't come across like Nick Saban,
right.
Like I'm in charge of everything and I'm Mr. Know-It-All and I got it all figured out. But he could see it in people, man. He could see potential, not just in players but in coaches.
Yeah, no, it really feels like Kalani is the right man for this moment, because it's not just the ability to understand X's and O's and implement game plans and make sure you're prepared to play your opponent. To coach at BYU, I think in the modern day right now, you need a person like Kalani, not just a coach like Kalani, because the church has changed a little bit. Because you had referenced the different types of members of the church and maybe some that are a little bit more relaxed. I can remember growing up back east with friends of different religious persuasions that would go to church for 1 hour on Sunday or maybe occasionally. And that was okay, right? And for me, it was we had early morning seminary. I had to be at church at 6 a.m. before high school. And then you had Monday night family home evening. Then you had Thursday night youth. And then you had 3 hours of church on Sunday. And explaining this to people that come from other religions are like, wait a second, what? That is unbelievable, that you guys are asked to do all of that. And some people want to do that. And as you said, that's fine. But the landscape of the church and the way that this younger generation is being raised, it's not near as involved. And by the way, we had scouts one night too. And it's not near as involved. Like church is 2 hours instead of 3. You don't have all the obligations during the week. It's more of a relaxed environment where, and by the way, I think all of this is good. That's just my opinion.
Here's the bottom line, Spence. You can be any kind of church member that you want to be.
But I don't feel like it used to be that way.
It used to be more exclusive, it seemed like. But bit by bit, it's become more, hey, bring what you got. If you want to come, then good. Come and feel welcome. And if you're wearing pants,
well,
you're a woman.
Let's be. Oh, okay. I thought you meant like I
would suggest everyone at least wear something.
Yeah, let's not show up sans pants to church, even with the relaxed nature of what we're dealing with. But also, Bear Bachmeier's an LDS. I don't know what the percentage of players. I think last year at one point, Kevin Young was starting 5 non-LDS people playing for the basketball team.
And some people complained about that.
Yeah, and look, I get it, and sometimes it's coded in language like maybe we need more like BYU guys. Oh, you mean white Mormons playing on the team?
That's stupid.
But I think you need a different approach if you're going to coach in the modern day of BYU as opposed to like I went down to a Lemma Harrington celebrity golf tournament to broadcast the show, and all of Lemma's ex-teammates were there. And one of them off air told me a story because there was this era where Witt was getting a lot of BYU type kids to come to Utah. Mm-hmm. And some of them were sons of ex-BYU players. And it was while Bronco was there. And this gentleman told me his son was one of the players that ended up at Utah when he basically played in the shadows of Lavelle Edwards Stadium. And he said Bronco came in for the recruiting visit. And look, I don't want to make this an anti-Bronco thing. He's a very good football coach, and he can have his own approach. And maybe he's changed and realized that he doesn't have to be the way he was at BYU. And I do think he was wearing a bit of a mask down there because he had to. But the first question he asked this guy's son was, what's your favorite scripture? And even the dad was like, dude, come on, man. Like, we want him to play quarterback. Let's hone in on that. Like, we don't need to talk. And look, how much of that was Bronco towing a line, as you've always talked about? You feel like maybe he was asked after cleaning up with the Gary Croton mess? I don't know, but it's a much different approach, and I think that's probably good for BYU.
This is what Kalani wants in that foot. These are the kinds of people he wants. Obviously, he wants talented guys who can help him win football games. And guys are collecting money. It's all happening. All of that is present, so I'm not excusing it or forgetting about it. But Kalani wants good people, and you can define that any which way you want. If it's a religious zealot of some sort, then okay. You know, we can name you a couple players down there who are that way. Mm-hmm. Certain one that was a receiver down there very recently who kind of talks like a prophet, you know. Mm-hmm. But I've had this conversation with Kalani. He says, I want guys with good hearts and good souls. He doesn't need people to be absolutely this or absolutely that. Yeah, they have their honor code, and that's a little hit and miss sometimes, but these are human beings you're dealing with. He wants people who will end up representing the university well. And you miss on some, just like every coach does, but that's what he stresses. He's not going to ask people to recite the 12 articles of faith before they can make the starting lineup.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And a lot of coaches at Utah are LDS too.
Of course.
So that's just a dynamic in this community. It's a part of it. But these guys want to win, and they want to win with good people. They want to win with people who have some degree of character.
Yeah.
And who can represent in a way that is not an embarrassment.
Yeah, and look, there's something that's, I think, been lost in many parts of society, and it's very simple. It's called common sense. I think everybody needs a VP of common sense. Okay, so yes, the honor code is the honor code. And if you go there as a student or a student athlete, you are asked this is what we do. So, follow this. And if there are certain things that come into play, you cannot go to school here. It's explicitly explained. And if you don't want to do it, don't go there. Okay. But in the case of a young person trying to find their way, they don't necessarily adhere to all the policies you're asking them to adhere to.
Certainly not perfectly.
There's a way to handle that where you don't have to throw them out of school or sacrifice their ability to get an education or play a sport. And common sense needs to prevail as opposed to hard-handed judgment when young people simply make a mistake when they're trying to find their way in the world. And by the way, isn't that the very definition of Christianity, or what am I missing?
Here, brother. And I know two people right now, and I'm just getting a little inside baseball, but I know two people who are stake presidents at present who would have been kicked out of BYU had they been found out.
Yeah.
People evolve. People learn. People aren't perfect.
Yeah.
People are on their journey, and they're trying to – sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes they're not even trying to be all that good. But you know, if you can plant certain seeds in people that they grow up to be honest, how about that in our environment today? What's the deal with everybody lying these days?
Yeah.
Come on, just live a good life, be good to people, be a decent human being, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well said. Now, the interesting part about the Big 12 Media Day experience, moving over to the Utes and Morgan Scally, one Utah player named to the all preseason Big 12 team, and it's a kick and a punt returner. There's nobody on offense, nobody on defense. I didn't hear anybody pick Utah to win the conference. I heard a lot of people pick BYU to win the conference based off the Texas Tech chaos. Mm-hmm. And I found it interesting as we sat down with Morgan, then listened to Morgan address the media, that Morgan now is starting in a way where Kyle started, meaning this. Witt, for years, I feel like he delighted in we're not ranked. We've got 2-star recruits. No one's paying attention to us. And he used that as like steel to like sharpen his team. And then it stopped working because they were too good. And Kyle earned the benefit of the doubt. And every year it's like, well, we're not really sure about Utah, but they're probably going to win 9 or 10 games and compete for the conference. I wonder how Morgan utilizes this kind of dynamic where he's going to have to earn that benefit of the doubt now. He doesn't have it. We were talking to people down at Big 12 Media Days, and I'd asked somebody from TCU, like, hey, we're the flagship home of the Utes. What do you make of Morgan Scally taking over for Kyle? And they would say, generally speaking, like, well, he's been an offensive coordinator, but you tell, or excuse me, a defensive coordinator, but you tell me what he's going to be like as a head coach because we have no idea. There's this sense of like unknown right now regarding Utah football, and I wonder how Morgan uses that to his advantage.
I think he will, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think he'll use that. He'll say, you know, I don't know if he'll do the Kyle thing where he's taping headlines up on the board in front of the team and all that. Maybe he will, knowing Morgan the way we do. I can see him digging into every bit of that toolbox he's got and using it to motivate his players. But it's interesting because this is, I think, where Utah is. They may not have a bunch of first-team all-conference guys, but they have a lot of good guys. Mm-hmm. And which would you rather have, one or two great guys and the rest kind of were spotty, or do you want a whole bunch of really good guys?
Yeah.
You can do a lot of winning with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the Utes are.
Yeah, I mean,
it starts with the quarterback. They have a quarterback that's going to shine this year. He's going to be really, really good. And anybody that doesn't believe that should go back and review the bowl game. I mean, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
In that game.
Devin Dampier, of course, was also very forthcoming, and so was Lance Holtzclaw, Jonathan Hall, and Wayshawn Parker, the 4 Ute players that were there, about December of last year when the Kyle thing went down. And it clearly caught them completely off guard. And they were clearly thinking about either following Witt to Ann Arbor or going somewhere else to play. But look, maybe it's all just kind of messaging at this point. They all said to him, man, we wanted to come back to play for Morgan. We wanted to come back to play for that head coach. And
is that a knock on Witt?
Well, there's a quote that was going around from Devin who said, now I have a coach I love. Yep. Now I have an offensive coordinator who watches out for me. It's hard to say that's a knock because you have an offensive coordinator that was watching out for you. The one last year, he did a pretty good job. You know, you were one of the best offensive teams in the history of Utah football. You were the best rushing team in the Big 12 and a top 5 rushing team in the country. So I didn't take that as a shot at Jason Beck. Could it have been a shot at Witt? Maybe, and here's why. You know how this works, okay? The thing happens, the Witt to Ann Arbor thing happens, or your friend gets divorced, and then 5 months later, you're like, oh, she really was crazy, huh? I didn't really, like, the thing happens, then time passes, and then you start to hear about really the deal. And I think a lot of people felt like the family on 3 thing, the Utah family on 3 thing under Kyle had gotten a little stale, and he started to really rule with a bit of a heavy hand. And Morgan's just the opposite. He just, like Kalani, he cares about these kids. outside of them just being great football players, he wants great people. He wants to build great men. And there are a lot of people that have said to me the feeling of family is back in the Utah football building in a way that over the final few years with Kyle, it just wasn't.
I think there was some poison there.
Mm-hmm.
And, Kyle said as much. He said there are people who want me out of here. And I think that you could feel that inside the building.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a football coach.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some downside to, what's the saying about something smells in Denmark? How's it go?
You can't. We've been doing this for years. You can't ask me about a saying that I have no. How something smells in Denmark?
Rotten in Denmark?
That's not a saying, Gordon. You're inventing sayings.
Look that up. I'm telling you.
Porter, you're being asked to Google search that something smells bad in Denmark to see if that's a saying. What are you doing?
Something wasn't quite right. It was a little off kilter somehow. Still good, but not maybe at its peak level. I can't wait to hear what Porter has to say.
Do we have an update on something smells bad in Denmark?
It's a thing.
What is it?
It's from Hamlet.
Okay, what about Hamnet?
Hamlet.
Oh, it's an SNL Tucker Carlson bit about the movie Hamnet. So what's the actual saying?
I think he had it. Something smells in Denmark.
And so that's just supposed to be code for something's not right?
Something was just a little off kilter.
Okay. All right.
A bit of an aroma.
Yeah.
Going.
Okay.
And but now it's a fresh wind to blow.
Well, I'll tell you what. The Utah BYU game last year, when Witt elected to not take the points, and then after the game said analytics. It's analytics, guys, which was so anti-Kyle Whittingham. It was just weird. As I told you before, I watched that game thinking Kyle's coaching this like it's his last game against BYU.
You were dead on right.
And so the week after that, I was at a fundraiser for a hospital, randomly seated next to a very powerful Ute alum. Oh. I'll tell you who it is before you leave. Hint, his name is on one of the buildings. And I'm like, don't ask him about Utah BYU. Don't ask him. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I'm sitting right next to him, and he's barely acknowledging he's kind of talking. Everyone's coming up to him. Everybody wants to kiss the ring. And then as the night ended, I just turned to him and I said, what'd you make of the football game last week? And for the first time, he turned, looked me right in the eye and said, field goals are important. And I went, all right, you can't lose that guy. Like, if Kyle lost that guy, it's a problem. And during Big 12 Media Days, we had Harlan on the show. And he said, last year was a great year. We won 10 games. And I said it would have been 11 if not for analytics, right? And he paused, and he looked at me and said, no comment. I really think at some point, maybe it's you, maybe it's Batakiao who's hustling, trying to get information. I just think there's more than any of us ever really know about how bad it was last year in certain quarters. And I'll always cheer for Kyle. Anybody in the Utah athletic ecosystem owes a big thank you to Kyle Whittingham. I will be watching Michigan football, and I'll be hoping it goes well for him. But I also think it's Morgan's time, and I think he's going to do a hell of a job.
And there's a place for that. There are times when I think the way that ended was screwed up, and I'm on the record with that. But there is a time to make a change, no matter how great you are. How many times have we talked to coaches through the years, Spence, where they go, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yep.
It doesn't mean he's not a good coach. It doesn't mean that he's, quote, unquote, lost his team. It's just not operating. That engine isn't at its peak performance level. It's just not now.
Yeah.
And maybe it was at one point. But I think Morgan, he is going to freshen it up. Here's the question, though. When you're in a league, and I hear all these people that complain about the Big 12, I think the Big 12 is a good league. And when you're facing that kind of opposition week after week, it's going to bring out the best and worst. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to see how Morgan is going to handle that.
Yeah.
If things don't go his way. We saw that with Kyle in some of those really good years. They started slow, and they'd lose a couple games, and then people would go, oh, my gosh, how's it going to turn out? And then they went on to win the conference.
Yeah.
And that was a strength that Kyle had. He could summon that with some of his players. Can Morgan do that? Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
But if I were a Ute fan, I would be optimistic about what I believe in brains. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan is smart.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. And usually smart guys, they might make a mistake here or there, but they learn as they go. And next thing you know, they're not losing very much.
Yeah.
And that's what I would expect out of Morgan. Although I do wonder a little bit how it's all going to turn out financially at Utah. You hear about this Ute coin thing. Have you heard about that? Is that just a joke?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I haven't done
outsourcing, getting money from fans to pay the players.
I haven't done enough research on this, and as their broadcast partner, I kind of would like to follow their lead about whether or not they want us to talk about this thing.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, no, it's fine because look, it's out there. It's out there in the market. It's out there in the community, and people are talking about it. I don't know, man. We live in this day and age where I am skeptical of anybody asking you for money for some sort of blockchain, crypto, whatever the hell it is. Buy a Donald Trump coin for $99.99. Like, what? Aren't you the president? You're not allowed to be doing this. So when it comes to financial impropriety, I'm not saying that's what this is. I'm really sensitive to direct my listeners to something that isn't university backed. But what is university backed is this Crimson Brand Partners partnership with Otro Capital. I had Matt Webb, the new CEO, on the show with Mark.
How are you feeling about it?
Well, we don't know numbers. And look, I will tell you, Matt was very impressive. He has an excellent pedigree. He seems like a smart, young, energetic guy that, as an operator, has a really good background. I'll just tell you what one alum said to me about it. He just said, look, I said, do you think this is going to work? And he said, it has to work. It has to work. They don't have a crumble CEO flying in to save the day. They don't have oil money like tech. They just don't have it. If they did, they wouldn't do this. So I don't know enough about it to give you an opinion. As their broadcast partner, as somebody who cares about the athletic department, I'll just repeat, I just hope it works.
We've got to a point now. Money has always been important in college sports, but it's just all over the place now. And it's just a necessary evil, if you want to look at it that way. But I can see why it might be discouraging to some fans that so much money is required, and a lot is required of the fans. Yeah. Even if they're not donating to this, that, or the other, they still got to buy tickets. They still got to have a hamburger over at the game, or they contribute in different ways. So it's expensive to be a sports fan these days. But it seems like it's more that way than it's ever been. But I think there's enough smart people around the Utah program that will get it figured out and will get the thing going in the right direction. I do not think that's going to be a problem with the caliber of athletes that they can draw in, nor with the coaches that they have. And I feel the same way about BYU. This is a great place to live if you love college football.
Absolutely. I am pumped for this season. I think Morgan's going to do great things. What's it going to look like year one? That's the great thing about games. That's the great thing about sports. We have a scoreboard, so we'll know. And Morgan said this himself. Regardless of what you think of me, if you think I'm smart, if you think I'm the guy for the job, if you think we're good financially, if I don't win games, it doesn't matter. And if I win games, people will donate money and people will back it. That's the great thing about sports. It is the ultimate meritocracy. We know if you're good at it or not because there's a scoreboard.
And we can all say everything that we want and guess all day long. But it still comes down to what happens on the field. And I'll say this. I'll wrap this up with this from me, Spence. I think BYU is going to be really, really good this year.
Yeah.
But that game up at Rice Eccles.
It's always a dogfight, dude. It just is.
That's going to be something.
All right, last time I asked you for a trivia question, you said, what's the northernmost city in the world, catching most of us off guard. I want you to think of one here, and I'm going to do my read because we're going to send somebody to see Zach Bryan. Okay. I know you're a Zach Bryan guy, like Porter. Zach Bryan is taking over Rice Eccles Stadium on August the 7th. More details can be found at ESPN700sports.com. Text in now to win at 877-353-0700. That's 877-353-0700. Gordon, what is the trivia question you're going to lay on our listeners today?
What is the most aromatic of all cheeses?
Is that even something that people can answer? Is that an actual thing? Do you know what the answer is?
No, I don't. But, okay, how about this? What is the most expensive cheese per pound?
Why are we on the cheese kick?
I don't know. I like cheese.
So do I. Let's roll with it. All right. Most expensive cheese per pound via Gordon at 877-353-0700, 877-353-0700. A thought on Spain beating France today?
Yeah, I saw some of that game, and that's sort of what I expected. A lot of people thought France was the better team, but I thought Spain. I thought it was going to win it all along, especially with the way they put pressure on the back end of the France unit.
Just great stuff from Luis de Fuente today.
I suppose you could kind of classify it that way if you wanted to.
What stood out most?
I think what stood out most to me was that they were. I just never thought Spain was going to lose. I mean, that second goal was really important, But once I got that, I said, okay, this shop's close it up. Right?
Okay.
What was the guy's name again?
Luis de Fuente.
De Fuente.
Yeah.
I need to study up on him a little bit.
That's always the safe play because he is the manager.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Gordon, great to see you, man. Glad you got some time with the fam. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. And everybody out there, do it, man. Spend some time with the people you care about the most.
All right, there you go. Our buddy Gordon Monson from the Tribune. Go to sltrib.com. All right, coming up next, Instagram influencer Dave Fox is live in studio. Keep it here on ESPN 700.
I don't know that I've used this one,
Okay.
but I will now.
I think you should.
I'm all over it.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good, man.
It's hot out there, by the way.
It's hot out there, but
Hot take.
it's nice in here. It's nice
Beautiful in
and
here.
cool, so we're good.
Remember when you didn't pay your bill and it was like roasting?
Definitely wasn't me, but
That was horrible.
yeah, our AC didn't work.
Yeah.
And you know what?
This is nice.
It might not work tomorrow. You just never
That's
know.
a good-
But for today, it is working. So
how are
I'm good, man. Have you been caught up in this World Cup stuff at all? Is it moving the needle for you?
It's more so that, well, let me just tell you really quick. So I'm still old-fashioned. I have DirecTV. So for
Wow.
the longest time, Channel 13 was not on. They were going through one of those disputes. You know how that works.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it was a struggle every night to try to find it. But now they're back, and yes, it's been a lot of fun.
Can we turn his mic down just a little bit? You
Is it too loud?
You didn't have Fox 13?
No, for like a month.
That's a weird dispute. Usually it's some random cable channel.
No, it's pretty common.
Does it
We've
happen
gone through
quite a
it.
bit?
KSL's gone through it. Everybody's gone through it.
Only with DirecTV.
Only with, well, I don't know anything about Comcast. I don't have Comcast, but for DirecTV.
Okay.
But it's back.
Okay.
And so there you go. A little bit of a stunner today for some people, I'm sure. But, yeah. In
Okay.
fact, this is going to be one of the questions on 5 Questions with Spence tonight, so let's don't spoil it.
10:35, KMYU,
Yeah.
tune in.
One of the many nights. I swear Spence is on the air more than I am.
I was told this was a part-time job. I was sold a bill of goods.
Reeled you in.
You sure did. Luckily, it's a one-year deal. But we do have a podcast we recorded today with Steve Starks. One of the topics we talked about, because there's this story that's out today that the Major League Baseball Players Association is upset that the Major League Baseball Commissioner's Office released a public ad campaign to plea for a salary cap, because that's what that's what they need, and that's what they're going to ask for. This might lead to a work stoppage. That's how bad this is getting. But talking to Steve today, the Millers are ready. I mean, so once this collective bargaining agreement thing gets solved, and it might be a year or two, then I think expansion is next. And it would be such a fun addition to our city to have a Major League Baseball team here in Salt Lake.
You know, we've talked about this before. How cool is it? I mean, we're spoiled by the Jazz. We've had them here forever. And then, you know, the Mammoth get here, and suddenly, oh, my gosh, they're playing the Chicago Blackhawks, or they're playing, you know, the Maple Leafs, or, you know, some of these storied franchises. But imagine the New York Yankees or the L.A. Dodgers coming to Salt Lake City for a baseball series. I mean, that is like next level, you know, beyond NFL, of course. That would just be huge, biggest thing ever. And when I say would be, I think it's going to be. I think you and I both agree with that. It's going to happen, and it's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait.
Just walking in a Crown Burger and running into Shohei Ohtani, just smashing some fry sauce.
I mean, there's a reality to what you're talking about. Baseball players, it's unlike any other sport. They come to town, they're there for 3 or 4 days, and you see them, and it's just going to be amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah, and when it will happen, I think is worth wondering about, because Manfred also said, I think he kind of wants it to be his final thing before he retires. I think his contract is up in like 29. But still, even if it's 3 years away, which it might be because this work stoppage could be real, it makes it really cool to consider what summer would be like. And to be, I mean, take yourself back 10 years to consider Salt Lake City as NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, and Major League Baseball. Having all four of those, the only one that would be missing is the NFL. Now, once upon a time, I think most people would look at it as an impossibility that Salt Lake City would ever get an NFL team. But the Sunday play thing is out the window. The Jazz play on Sundays all the time. No one gives a rip anymore. And yes, sometimes LDS people go to games on Sunday. Breaking news.
What?
That's out the door. If all four of our teams, okay, if we play the tape forward and the Jazz, the Mammoth, RSL, and the Salt Lake City Trappers, led by Bill Murray,
I think they'll do better than that, but sure.
If that should be the name, but I also thought it should be Utah Hockey Club. If all four of those teams are drawing fans, if they're keeping up with corporate sponsorships and the dollars are coming in, the NFL will look at us
and
will say, okay, maybe. Now, the NFL doesn't have to expand because why share more of the pie? But at some point, they might look to. And if we can prove to the National Football League that we can handle these 4 products, who knows?
I think the only thing that might get in the way of the NFL is you can just sense that they're going to be looking at global expansion, probably ahead of another, team in America or certainly in Utah. You never know. I mean, I certainly wouldn't discount that because, like you said, I never thought we'd have all these teams. It's funny, though. I had a conversation with Larry Miller, rest his soul, probably 20 years ago. It was right when he had bought the Bees, as a matter of fact. And I had asked him about, is hockey the next big thing to come here? And he told me then, he said, I actually think baseball would be a better fit. He always felt that way.
Well, he also loved baseball.
Yes,
the Miller family, like Greg's a huge Yankee fan. The Millers love baseball because Larry came up as a softball, like a competitive
he ran
softball
that
pitcher.
automotive team for so many years. And so, lo and behold, we'll see, what happens. Should happen fairly soon. You think about how long it's going to be before we have the Olympics. What is it, 2034? You're going to be like 72 when they get here finally.
Well, I mean,
so baseball could be 5 years
At least I'll
ahead.
be alive.
That's true.
So if you want to go there, it's fine.
No, you never know.
Yeah.
Baseball could be 5 years ahead of that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
You never know.
2034. What is that, 8 years away?
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it's wild to consider what that could mean for our market. And look, again, the NFL model at this point is so rock solid. It's kind of the same thing we talk about with Utah to the Big Ten. If you're the Big Ten right now, you're just kind of like, why?
Yeah, what do we need?
All due respect to Utah or BYU or Texas Tech or whoever, like, do we want to split our money with more member institutions? They don't really need to.
Unless it gets to the point to where it gets diluted even further and you have a couple of super leagues or one giant super league. But other than that, your point is well taken. And that's, by the way, that's just football. I mean, you look at basketball, and the Big 12 is a better league.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of college football, Big 12 Media Days.
You were there.
We were there. We were there. Have you ever been to Frisco?
Well, I grew up in Dallas.
That's
which
not
is
Frisco.
not, but it's in the area. But when I grew up, Frisco was like a trailer park in the middle of nowhere.
It feels like a Truman Show, like manufactured city built around the Cowboys facility.
Kind of funny, huh?
It's a weird place.
There's actually a town like that in Orlando. Speaking of what you just said.
Where?
In Orlando.
Orlando.
It's connected to Disney World. And
Kissimmee.
Kissimmee's. It's called Celebration.
Oh, yes.
And
It does have a celebration feel to it.
Same look to it, where it all looks like a big cartoon.
Yeah,
or like I think Truman Show is a perfect example.
Yeah, you walk out of the facility and you're kind of like, is this a fever dream? This feels weird. But anyway, Big 12 Media Days is cool. It just, I hope they move it out of Frisco.
Well, it needs to be in Vegas. Everyone loves to go to Vegas.
It's one of the reasons I missed the Pac-12. We had Vegas, we had LA, we had like all these great media day markets. And like Frisco, and it was kind of an odd vibe. I keep saying this. It had this like Mean Girls, You Can't Sit With Us, Regina George feel. Really? Everyone hates Tech. Tech is mad at the league. Yormark is giving his intro presser like he's running for office or starting a mega church.
Well, I saw him. He was literally reading the whole thing. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah, it was weird.
It was really weird.
But he was like walking around the stage, and he was trying to sell this like 16 strong. And then some really awkward media member from Tech asked some question about tortillas. Wow. And then a Monster energy drink deal was announced. Everybody was downing Monster. And there's a weird vibe in the Big 12 right now. And I think most of it has to do with people being mad at Texas Tech.
Probably. But as far as the Monster thing, anything to make money. And it's only going to get worse. Soon jerseys will look like, NASCAR drivers at the rate they're going.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about nowadays.
Well, when Mark Harlan and Matt Webb were on the podcast last week.
Great podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
Was awesome.
Audio levels could use some work, but we'll get there.
I thought Matt, by the way, was a kind of a pleasant breath of fresh air to have in there. Otherwise, it would have been the usual Spence Harlan conversation that you've had many times on this radio station. So it was good to get some of that point of view as well.
But Mark referenced generating revenue 4 or 5 times, like revenue streams, right? They've got to figure it out because – that internal study that they paid a company $30,000 to come in and do. And first of all, the reason you do that is to learn to get better. I have no issue with them doing that. They decided to pay an external company $30,000 or so to come in and kind of take a informal and formal poll of how the employees felt. And they found some revenue streams compromised, tickets being given away, and some revenue left on the table. And, ultimately, that's the deal with this Crimson Brand partner company. Before the media rights go to market in 2030, 2031, they've got to find a way to make money. And that's what Matt's in charge of.
But, yeah, as I was going to say, it's more the responsibility of this new, what's it called, the Crimson Collective?
Crimson Brand Partners.
Right, to come up with those. I'm not saying Harlan's not a big part of this.
He's the chairman of the
chairman
company,
of the board, for heaven's sakes. 7-member board, 4 are Utes, 3 are from the investment company. But that's their purpose. So you're right. They did not only do they have to come up with it, that's part of the deal. So they're going to have to come. They're going to have to come up with it quickly, and they're still just getting started. They're still just. I don't think they have all their employees fully on board, ready to go.
No, the employees that they laid off are in the process of re-interviewing for their jobs. Yeah. And hopefully they move back. I hope they all get their jobs back. Well, from what I understand,
almost all of them are available to do that if they want.
Well, they're definitely available. Yeah. The question is whether or not they'll get their jobs back. But it does lead to questions about kind of what's next with renovations to the Huntsman that they've announced. I think we're going to hear a plan of Rice Eccles getting a little bit of a facelift and maybe look a little bit different, feel a little bit different.
Well, it's funny because it just kind of had one.
Well, I think what we're going to see is more aggressive because the problem is if you're going to – and look, ticket prices go up every year. If you have Utah season tickets, you know that. It goes up if they don't do a damn thing. But if you're going to start to ask for more from your fans, you have to improve the consumer experience. And that's not like, hey, we'll touch up the Ken Garff end zone and we'll make the field look cooler. No, it's like bunker suites, high-priced ticket options. If you're asking your fans to pay for more money, you have to improve the consumer experience.
You got to take care of the rank and file, too. You just mentioned 2 elements that are only affordable by corporate America. So you got to go all the way down to the guy sitting in the end zone or, like when you used to sit in the hot tub up in the corner.
I always wanted to.
You never got in that?
Never got in.
That seems really gross to me. So
wasn't there a weird topless lady for a while, too?
I don't remember that. I remember one in the end zone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happened a few times.
Yeah, you looked over like, honey, come on.
They've cleaned it up since.
Let's keep the shirt on.
I can't believe you never got in the hot tub. I figured you for a no-brainer.
No, never got in the hot tub. I was a season.
But that was your era.
I was a season ticket holder in the north end zone for 8 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's where they're looking to maybe make things a little bit. Okay. And look, if we're honest, the building could probably use some things. The concessions are a little bit subpar. And if you're going to improve those, guess what? The tickets are going to be more expensive and things are going to be asked of from the fans to keep up. Because to your point about generating revenue, and Mark saying it 5 times on the show, they don't have a Cody Campbell. They don't have oil money. They don't have a Cookie Bro or a Swig Bro or whatever BYU has. If they did, they wouldn't be doing this. So it has to work. It just has to.
Well, and some of their biggest donors are getting, how do I say this politely, a little long in the tooth that have donated forever.
Mm-hmm.
Huntsman's, Eccles,
Well, luckily there are younger generations that'll, kind of keep that up.
You never know what they're going to do.
I'm sure you kept track of some of the conversations that were going around, and I found this interesting because for a long time, Witt takes over for Urban. There are questions like, hey, okay, can he do what Urban did? All right, Pac-12, it's a different deal. And Kyle had to earn the benefit of the doubt and build Utah football into a program, and he did this where people year in and year out were like, I don't know if they're going to win the conference. They're going to have something to say about it. I didn't hear one person pick Utah football to win the Big 12 this year. They had one player selected to the all-preseason Big 12 team. So now Morgan kind of has to start where Kyle did to at some point earn the benefit of the doubt, when right now I don't think he has it.
And I found that a little bit odd. Now, conversely to that, early lines that are already out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Utah is favored in the BYU game because it's already out by 3.5. So, and yet you're right. The vast majority of, media and those who vote have BYU with a much better chance of winning the conference than Utah. And yet head-to-head, it's the other way around.
If you're willing to place a bet on a game that's being played November 7th, then you need to calm down.
Well, they set early lines for everything. You don't necessarily go out and bet on.
That's so degenerates will start laying numbers. I mean, look, the schedule's manageable. I think
For both teams.
I think 8 wins for Utah football. I think that's a win. I think year one, if you win 8 games, because I think it's unrealistic to expect them to be on the level of BYU and Texas Tech, who the odds say by far are the 2 favorites. Texas Tech is still a very healthy favorite in Vegas to win the conference. And at media days, I had, 5 or 6 guests that picked BYU because of Tech's quarterback issues.
No one picked Utah.
No one picked Utah.
See, I think they're better than 8 wins. Maybe I'm not even being biased. I'm just saying I think they're better than 8 wins.
I hope they are.
We haven't agreed on a number of things, including that we haven't agreed on the total wins for the Jazz.
No. You said the Jazz were a playoff team. I said I think they might be a play-in team.
But did you see the over and under on total wins in Vegas now for the Jazz? It's absurdly low, like 35, something like that.
There's no way it's 35.
Yeah, that's what our resident betting expert Timmy told me. I'm going to have to confirm that with him, but that's what he said.
No, our bet is simply you think they're a playoff team.
Yes,
and I think they might be a play-in team.
And I'm standing by my.
I cannot wait to eat the steak because they traded Walker Kessler. It's beautiful.
Eat the steak.
I'm going to.
No one said steak.
We have the audio.
Okay, but you
It's
understand
a steak dinner.
Hamburger is steak.
I don't give a rip. Whatever it is, I'm going to look you in the eye and enjoy eating it when the Jazz are the 8th or the
Big
9th
Mac?
seed. Whatever
Hamburger
it is.
not steak.
Thank you, Porter.
It's meat.
Luckily,
Porter. It comes out of the same cow.
We have the audio. And by the way, I believe he dropped a Ruth's Chris, too.
There's no way I did that.
So Daddy's getting steak, shrimp, appetizers, endless amounts of food.
Thank goodness for expense accounts.
You can expense it. I don't give a rip. I'm just getting my free steak. Let's see here.
That's a little presumptuous, though, because I'm going to stand by that. They will be a playoff.
Well, and if they are, I will happily pay my bet. Unlike you, who's already trying to go back on his word.
I'm not saying
surprising.
I won't pay it. I'm just saying there are many, many different forms of steak.
Yeah, and there's also something called digital sound online where we can listen to you drop Ruth's Chris. And I'll order a burger there. It's fine.
I'm going to need to hear that.
Luckily, we have it.
Okay.
I do not have an up-to-date Jazz over-under. If Timmy found
He said he found a 34.5.
If Timmy found a 34.5.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd be betting the over all day on that.
Yeah, that's aggressively low.
I'll double-check that because that's going to come up on 5 Questions with Spence tonight. And
what, the over-under?
Yeah, and I don't want to be inaccurate. I sent him to you, so you should know.
Well, okay, 34.5.
There you go.
DraftKings,
Is that
low.
absurd?
That's low.
That's nuts.
You know what? I'm laying something down right now.
You should. That's crazy.
Yeah, it should make you nervous about, Daddy's getting a steak dinner, man. Porter, by the way, Porter's included in that bet.
No, Porter House. No, he's not.
Yep, Porter gets a free steak as well.
He's going to sit over in the corner of the booth and eat French fries.
Hey, that's fine, but you're paying. That's the bottom line. A bet is a bet, and I love that you try.
With it.
I love that you tried to go back on it when we have the audio.
No. I'm not trying to go back on it. I'm trying to explain to you what a steak is.
Yeah, it's not.
I remember making the bet.
A state is. Say that again.
I remember making the bet. I don't remember the specific type of food we were going to.
It was a steak dinner, and then you said Ruth's Chris, and I said we'll figure it out. Okay, and the fact that you're trying to sell a hamburger as a steak says all I need to know about Brad Thomas over here.
Brad Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, Midnight Metal.
So, but back to the point, like ultimately. If I'm Morgan, I kind of like this. I kind of like the whole all right, because you can sell this to your players, and Kyle used to all the time. Like, no one's expecting us to do anything at all. Because the interesting dynamic is when we had Kalani on, I said to him, multiple people are picking you to win the league, and you are second to Texas Tech in players selected he didn't want to hear any of it.
Yeah. They don't like to talk about that.
I don't think they want to be in the catbird seat. I think coaches prefer the whole you guys see the all Big 12 first team? Devin, you led the conference in QBR last year. Why is it Noah Fafita? Why isn't it you? Right? Like you can use that as fuel to help your team win.
Well, and somebody asked Kalani, I don't know if it was your station, about the BYU Utah game.
Of course it was our station.
Big mistake. There's no way he was even remotely interested, or maybe you'd ask Scally One of the coaches got asked that.
We asked both of them.
You cannot ask a coach about a game that's in November. They'll
yeah,
have
but you're
no part of that.
you're going to ask about the game against your rival.
Yeah, but even then they were like, in fact, I remember specifically. Morgan, the first thing he said was,
your memory's back. Unbelievable.
He specifically said, "Hey, I'm concerned with Idaho." He did. He was having none of the whole BYU discussion.
Yeah, you still asked the question, and then he gave a nice little anecdote about going to dinner with Kalani and his wife, and
that was interesting.
How much he loves
Bronco.
Kalani, and Bronco was there as well.
Yeah,
don't forget about Bronco. Shout out Utah State.
So good for them.
Yeah. It's it's just an interesting thing, and look, BYU's beaten Utah 3 straight times, and BYU.
But how many did Utah beat him prior to that?
Hold on, Homer. And BYU went to the conference championship game last year. The fact of the matter is, BYU has earned the right to have the benefit of the doubt that Utah just hasn't right now.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Well, that's why you play the game. 19, by the way.
19 what?
Straight Utah wins.
19?
Yeah.
What are you, high?
Yeah,
it was 9.
19? Oh, sorry, 9. Yeah, I knew there was a 9 in there. I knew there was a 9er.
What's going on with you? What are we doing? What's going on?
9 straight.
I know it was 9.
So that means 9 out of 12.
What are you doing?
Well, because you're going on and on about how, Utah fans and Ute Nation should be all concerned that they've lost 3 in a row to BYU when they've won 9 of the last 12.
In my face. What are you doing?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about today and here and now. And
I'm
why?
talking about the last 12 years.
What are you on like Ute Zone message board right now? What is it? What's going on here?
Never been on that.
You're trying to like throw this in my face or something?
Kind of.
Why?
Because it's the big picture is grander than 3 years.
No, it's not. It's about what's going on today. I don't give a rip about what happened a decade ago, and neither should you.
Okay, well, then I don't care what happened a year ago. It's 0-0.
Yeah, I care about what happens today. And
okay, then today it's dead even.
It very much is not when you look at the way people are covering this league. Do you work for the U now? What's going on?
You know what? I guess I need to go home and take a shower because I just had lunch with somebody from the U. So a little that's still rubbing off.
This is
I apologize.
Downright weird. Yeah. Like you're bringing this into some sort of a debate about like the last 12 games.
I need to cleanse myself.
I'm talking about this year and what's being expected from both teams. And if you pay attention to I'm not saying the beautiful thing about sports is it's a meritocracy. We have a scoreboard. So we'll wait to see what happens. Do you need me to define that word for you?
I think I got it.
Okay, well, I promise you wouldn't know anything about it. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, look that up and Google it.
A meritocracy?
Yeah.
Got it.
We're going to set you loose. Do you want to tease what's coming up tonight?
Yes, we're excited because we've got 5 questions with Spence coming your way. And it's going to be a bonus question, number 6.
We have 6 questions.
Is that okay?
Yeah, stunning you're asking me to do more than what we originally agreed upon. You don't say.
And they're really, really good questions written by me.
No, we know who writes the questions. I'm actually shocked that Tim was right about this over-under for the Jazz.
I know.
That's
when
low.
I first read that, I thought, dude, you're way off. This has got to be around 40, 45.
Yeah.
34.5. And you're right. That's going to swing because people are going to be all over the over on that.
We'll let you go put your makeup on, pal.
Okay, thanks. I need a lot of it.
All right, more next on ESPN 700. Want to let you know that you can help 200 children at the road home start school in style. Stop by the Advocates in Ogden, American Fork, or Murray. Pick an apple from the tree, and you can supply clothing and backpacks for a child at the road home. Or shop and donate online at appletreeforkids.com. That's appletreeforkids.com. Every child deserves an advocate, so stop by today. See ESPN700sports.com or appletreeforkids.com for more details. Not going to lie, that was a weird show. It got weird today.
When we invite Dave, I think we're inviting the weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
To be clear.
That was a really, wild, strange thing. And also, Gordon's trivia question was, what's the most expensive cheese per pound? Did we get a winner, by the way?
Poulet?
I don't know. I mean, last time he asked the northernmost city in the world.
Correct.
Did we get a winner of the Zach Bryan tickets?
We did.
Okay. And it's poulet cheese?
Something like that.
Okay. And then
$1,300.
Then Dave yells at me like he's on a message board.
Yeah.
What was that? That was so weird.
He thinks the Utes are going undefeated, going to the Natty.
I hope the Utes are going undefeated and going to the Natty.
Me too.
The weird thing about it, though, is I was just unpacking why there seems to be more people picking BYU. I'm like, oh, yeah, they have won 3 straight. He's like, how many did Utah win before that? I'm like, Dave, I'm not coming at you about this. And then he said 19. And then he said hamburger is steak.
Hamburgers, that was what I had the biggest issue with this entire show today, is that Dave Fox uttered into a microphone, hamburger is steak. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's very much not. And it's just childlike behavior. Remember, this is a man who one night I was going over to do a hit for KUTV, and I texted the group. I said, hey, I'm going to stop and grab some Mexican food for dinner. What do you guys want?
Let me guess.
Good.
Quesadilla off the kids' menu.
Cheese quesadilla. Yeah. He asked for a cheese quesadilla and a chocolate milk. This man is 70.
Oh, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Hilarious. But also one of the things I just love about Dave Fox. If you can not allow the child in you to die well into your 80s, I think, good for you.
Sure. But at the same time, have decorum and respect when you're conversing with other people. Don't act like a baby and throw a fit.
Choco and cheese quesadilla.
That's what he wanted. Like, Timmy ordered a burrito. Other guy wanted some enchiladas. Dave's like, I'll take a cheese quesadilla and a chocolate milk.
Do they serve chocolate milk at Mexican restaurants?
Yeah, because I think I sent the menu. Maybe it was barbacoa. I don't remember. But there was a kids menu where you could get a cheese quesadilla and a chocolate milk, and that's what Dave asked for. And everybody else ordered grown-up Mexican food, and that's all he wanted.
I got to imagine that when Dave's at home, eating in his suit and tie, of course, before he heads into the studio, his wife probably makes him wear a bib.
That's probably true. And remember, when Dave's at home, what he's doing is waiting for the help to come clean the house so he can go get lunch, which is probably like an Arby's beef and cheese or something.
Hey, now.
Hey, you're talking to a fan of an Arby's beef and cheese.
There used to be a time where you could do a 5 for $5 at Arby's. Do you remember?
Of course.
Do you remember this?
You could freeze them because it's not real food. It just keeps you alive.
Well, yeah, but you could do you could order a sandwich, curly fries, a drink, throw in an extra mozzarella stick, and then a kicker sandwich for $5 at an Arby's.
It's an amazing deal.
What happened?
The curly fries at Arby's are elite.
They're good.
They're elite curly fries. Anyway, weird show, strange show, but we did our best to get through it. Some good stuff today. Tomorrow, we are looking at the second World Cup semifinal where Lionel Messi will lead Argentina against England. And I can't corroborate this, but I read earlier that Lionel Messi has never played against England, which just seems kind of weird to me. We will have the RSL friendly against Burnley out at America First Field. Summer League is kind of winding down. Washington shut down A.J. DiBonsa. The Jazz did not play any of their big-time players Second night of a back-to-back for the game last night. We are still waiting for LeBron James to decide where he wants to play basketball. Have you seen any update on that today?
No, but can I give you an AI answer of if Leo Messi has played England?
Yes, please do.
Lionel Messi has played his very first match against the England senior men's national team in the 2026 FIFA World Cup semifinal. The highly anticipated showdown took place on Wednesday, July 15th, 2026.
Huh. So AI is not the spot for any sports and information knowledge.
Technically correct, but also that's tomorrow.
Wait, does it have like an outcome? Maybe it knows what's going to happen.
Ooh, no, it doesn't.
Type in what is going to happen Argentina, England tomorrow. See what it does.
No.
Which AI model do you use, by the way?
I don't. I just use Google, and then Google force feeds me their AI results. I'm still giving the stiff arm as much as I can, but sometimes you just go to Google like you used to do a search, right? And it gives you that instead. Unfortunately.
Okay. It is pretty wild because I've started to realize like you're gonna have to become familiar with this stuff, like it or not, and it's pretty wild what you're able to do with some of these AI platforms.
Right.
Like at some point, are we even gonna need doctors? You can be like, hey, I cut my knee. What should I do? It's like, hey, do this.
Well, and that's the point is that in like certain practices where precision's required, where like you need to expedite stuff, like it can be useful. But on the same foot, I just tried to use it to get a simple fact, and it was hallucinating, essentially. Mm-hmm. It was telling me something happened that hadn't happened yet. So, I don't know. I'm not ready to jump all on board until it's ready because it's clearly not.
All right. There you go. We do have the Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up on the other side. Did you tune in to the Home Run Derby last night?
On the radio.
Well, obvious. That's what I meant. What
I'm
did
not watching it.
What did you think I meant?
No, I didn't.
Who watches it? Okay. Dude, I didn't even know who won. Who won the Home Run Derby?
Walker?
Nice. Oh, Jordan Walker won it. Okay. Good stuff. So Major League Baseball All-Star Game tonight. This is kind of the time of year where you're looking around and missing your sports. The World Cup certainly helps. RSL will be back officially on the 22nd against LAFC, and then it is an absolute sprint to the finish line. They're like, I think 6 3-game weeks, if I heard that correctly. So there you go. If you missed Steve Starks today, you can find that on the Reality Check podcast page. It'll be on the KUTV YouTube stream. And then on Friday, it'll be televised on both KMYU and KJazz TV. Some good stuff on the future of Major League Baseball to Salt Lake City, as we do appear to be high speed ahead to a work stoppage. And then RSL has some decisions to make. When it comes to Diego Luna, Xavier Argozo, Juanman Sanabria, and then Sergi Solans. And we'll see if they make any additions. It's a good team, third in the West. And we'll get going pretty quickly here. All right, there you go. Porter, before we get out of here to make some space for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, what's coming up on a Wednesday edition of the show?
Wednesday edition of the show. It's a match day for RSL, of course, facing off with Burnley. So we'll check in with our friends at Real Salt Lake. Andy Larson is going to stop by, talk some World Cup, talk some RSL, go all over the map. Amy Donaldson in studio. I got a question, though.
What do you got?
You cheering for Burnley or RSL?
Oh, good question. A tie. I want a tie.
A friendly
tie between the two. Hoping I'll be in the building tomorrow. There's a chance we're going to catch up with J.J. Watt. And if we're able to interview J.J. Watt, we will bring that sound to you guys on the air. A lot of ties to both clubs, obviously. I do believe my dad will be in town.
Uh-oh, Pablo.
Think so. Wait, why?
They're going to fight.
Oh, that. Yeah. I don't think they're going to at this stage of their lives. That was 20 years ago. Both men were younger at that phase, so I don't think we're going to see a actual throwdown between Pablo and my father.
Fair enough.
Maybe we will. Maybe I'll try to make that happen.
That's kind of what I was hoping for.
Just like initiate some action. So there you go. Join us for a Wednesday show. Again, World Cup match day, and then we'll have the World Cup final after Spain was able to advance earlier with a 2-0 win over France. Special thank you today to Jay Nolly, to Steve Starks, to Gordon Monson, and to Dave Fox, who's just a weirdo. If you missed any of it from the show today, go to the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. Make sure to download our mobile app and take us on the go. That ESPN 700 app is available in the App Store and the Google Play Store for free. And then 2 podcasts for you. Love it if you would support both. One is Reality Check with Spence Checketts. That's the new podcast we're doing with KUTV. And the other is called The Drive with Spence Checketts. That is the show you just listened to for 4 full hours. But if you missed any of it, head over to the podcast page and grab it. All right, for Porter, I'm Spence saying goodnight. Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming up on the other side of a quick break. Keep it right here on ESPN.